is step-by-step for them at the moment, isn't it? Talksport's commentary team of Ian Danter and former Arsenal winger Perry Groves are alongside me, but they're on this 5-match winless streak in the league, 6 in fact in all competitions. Really frustrating at such a key point of the season, Perry. Why do you think this downturn of form has come right now?
Well, I think Fabian Hertz has said there, it's a young team, you know, and they're developing their players. And when you have young players, you're going to have fluctuations in form. You know that you don't really start getting consistency until you're about 26, 27, and then your graph line then goes a little bit more level. I think they've had a bit of a hangover from losing against Forest in the FA Cup quarter-finals on pens. They've lost 2 and drawn 1 since then, again, which is understandable. And everybody thought, it'll be a bank at home against Leicester, and they went twice in front, and then obviously ended up drawing 2-2. So they've dropped a lot of points from winning positions. I think it's 20 points they've dropped from winning positions this season. So again, that comes from maybe not being able to manage games and see them out. But if we look at like Fabian Hertzler or Fabian Huser, as I call him, because obviously Dougie Hauser, that's how young he looks. He's come in and he's done a really good job, because we forget as well, you've got a young group of players. He's a very, very young manager. He's the youngest manager ever to be in the Premier League. He's only 32. So he's actually learning his trade in the toughest league in the world. So I think Brighton being 10th at the moment, and with a realistic chance getting a European position, I think that their season's been good.
He's done it impressively, actually. I've interviewed him a few times, and he's a quite calm character. You don't always see that calm character on the touchline, but he doesn't tend to bite or get annoyed if things aren't quite going his way. But there are 5 or 6 players in the team older than him, which is, quite incredible. He's got the respect of the whole team. He's using the leaders that Brighton have got in the team as well, and clearly the Brighton owner, Tony Bloom, trusts him. They do their research, Brighton, when they bring in. They're always forward planning for the next step. He's actually, by the way, the owner in the away end this afternoon, because he won't go into the director's box. Him and Matthew Bennett.
They don't get on, do they?
They don't.
No.
The Brentford
Well, I didn't realise that Matthew Bennett used to work for Tony Bloom.
No, I know.
And then thought, right, I'll go and start my own company. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to buy my own club, and I'm going to obviously be in competition. So it's great that we like these little rivalries, don't we, in football? So there is a big rivalry between Brentford and Brighton. And you mentioned there about Fabian Hertzler coming in. Got Sao Paulo obviously promoted into the Bundesliga. He stopped them from getting relegated actually, and then got promoted, which was brilliant. He's coming here, and what he's done really well is, you mentioned there's 5 of the Brighton players that are older than him. Even today you've got Danny Welbeck and Lewis Dunk, who obviously Lewis Dunk is the captain. He's managed those players really well, giving them respect that obviously their careers deserve, and then in turn those players then can help and manage the younger players. So I think this day and age, you have to obviously be very well schooled in your coaching. You have to have all your coaching badge and qualifications, but you have to know how to manage the human being, and that's what I think that Hertz has done really well.
I'll tell you what he's also not done. He's not blamed their recent run of form on the injuries that they've had. They've actually had the 2nd highest number of injuries this season, 22. Joint 2nd with Spurs, with Arsenal having the most. And you think about what Ange Postecoglou and Mikel Arteta have talked about all season, is the injuries they've had. Have you really heard Fabian Hertzler using that as an excuse?
I think because he's a young manager, he hasn't learned how to do it yet. He's probably looking at it, someone's gone, mate, you've got loads of injuries, you can use that excuse next time.
You can hear the Premier League music in the background. Both teams have come out to the tunnel to raucous applause from both sets of fans, and are shaking hands as it stands ahead of the first half here at the G-Tech Stadium. Sit back and enjoy. We've got live and exclusive commentary of Brentford against Brighton, and it's in the company of the wonderful Perry Groves and your match commentator on Talksport 2, Ian Danter.
Thank you, Faye, and a very good afternoon to you wherever and however you're listening to Talksport 2, as our attention switches from the Women's Champions League to the race for Europa League and Conference League places in the Premier League perhaps. 11th place, 10th here at the G-Tech. It's currently unclear just how far European qualification qualification spots will be determined by league position, aside from the 5 that will be allocated to the Champions League. Brighton were as well placed as anyone to grab their passports for next season, but a run of 5 without a win sees the Seagulls 6 points behind 6th place Chelsea with 24 points left to win, although they are level with 2 sides directly above them on goal difference in Bournemouth and Fulham. Host Brentford are a further 5 points back from their visitors today, as their home form has done a complete 180 from the impregnable form they showed here in the first half of the campaign to the current 8-game winless run they have in front of their own fans. Thomas Frank has made 2 changes to the Brentford lineup from the 1-1 draw against Arsenal. A first Premier League start for Michael Kayode at right back on loan from Fiorentina, and Yeho Yarmolyuk brought into midfield for Vitaly Yanok. Christopher Ayer, the other player who drops out of the starting lineup and goes to the bench. Mark Flecken then the goalkeeper. Michael Kayode, Nathan Collins, Sepp Vandenberg and Keane Lewis Potter your back 4. Then Christian Norgard and Yeho Yarmolyuk as holding midfielders. Brian and Burma, Mikkel Damsgaard and Kevin Schade behind Johan Visser in attack. As for Brighton, they make 2 changes as well, having surrendered points to Leicester City. That finished 2-2. Mats Wieper and Jan-Paul van Hekke return to the starting lineup. Yassin Ayari and Simon Adingra drop out. So Barbara Bruggen in goal for the Seagulls. Jack Hinshelwood, Jan-Paul van Hekke, Lewis Duncan, Pervis Estepinian in a back 4. Then Carlos Palabra and Mats Wieper holding in front of those 4. Yakuba Minte, Matt O'Reilly and Joao Pedro, 3 behind Danny Welbeck. Tim Robinson is the referee. Marcel Perry and Faye are sat in the south stand here at the G-Tech Stadium. If I was able to look behind the north stand opposite, I would see the elevated section of the M4 motorway on the outskirts of London. The Brighton fans in the southeast corner away to our right, a lot of them bedecked in the same yellow away strip that Brighton are wearing this afternoon, and it is the Seagulls who will get us underway, defending that east stand to our right and attacking the west stand that's in shade. Most of the pitch bathed in beautiful spring sunshine. As we get underway on Talksport 2, and Van Hekke immediately sends a diagonal ball across to this near side, the Brighton left, looking for Joao Pedro. It's a poor clearance from Brentford, and Joao Pedro running across the 18-yard line, goes down and wins a free kick inside 20 seconds for Brighton and Hove Albion, and Michael Kayode, making his first start, makes his first challenge.
Yep, really good start from Brighton, just getting the ball forward very quickly. Come out to Joao Pedro, just to the 18-yard box, so just trying to cut inside Kayode. Kayode just tackles with his wrong foot, with his right foot. Tim Robinson, quite rightly, the referee, gives the free kick. A really dangerous position for Brighton, just on the left-hand edge of the 18-yard box, about 6 yards away from the D.
So there's 3 players standing over this free kick. You've got Jack Hinshelwood lurking, Danny Welbeck as the senior player, and you've also got Matt O'Reilly. Favours the right foot of Danny Welbeck, this. The 5-man Brentford wall is set up. There's the draft excluded behind it, the role that no one wants to play, but somebody's playing it. I think it's Johan Visser. No, it's not Visser, it's somebody else who's drawn the short straw.
Damsgaard.
It is Damsgaard. Up steps O'Reilly, goes for it left-footed, it's over the bar, and an early scare for Brentford, but at least a nothing, and it's a goal kick to the Bees, 0-0.
Yeah, just too much elevation on it there from Matt O'Reilly, just hitting it with his left foot. Just hit it over the centre of the wall. Flecken just watched it sail aimlessly over his crossbar, but a nice lively start from Brighton.
So a goal kick for Mark Flecken in the Brentford goal, in the one area of the pitch that's shaded, basically his goal mouth, or half of his goal mouth. His goal kick almost breaks for Schade, but Van Hekke drives it along the deck over halfway, intercepted by Vandenberg, looking for Mbermo on this near side, but Pervis Estepinian heads it out of play. We are only 15 rows back maybe from the touchline, so really good commentary position we've got here, bang on halfway at this wonderfully appointed stadium by Kew Gardens. Goodness only knows how they managed to drop this stadium into the minimal space they've got. Architectural marvel. Here's Kevin Schade, the German, working the ball into the area. Visser, great save by the right foot of Barbara Bruggen. Work back to the edge of the area. Damsgaard has a drive, and that's deflected, is it? No. Looked like it came off a Brighton boot, but the referee says no, and Norgard's drive leads to only a goal kick, and Johan Visser had a massive chance to give Brentford the lead there, 0-0.
Brilliant play from Schade over on that left-hand side. Found himself free. Can he pick the right pass? Yes, he can. He just rolls it across the 18-yard box. Visser comes in. Dance, we all thought with the form that Visser's in, balls him in the back of the net. I think he should have put his foot for it. He's gone with the instep of his right foot and tried to put it back across for Verbruggen. Said there, it was a massive Inspector Gadget leg dance when it come out of his right foot from Verbruggen and saved it and kept the game at 0-0.
Well, Faye had mentioned in our introduction that Johan Visser had been mentioned by Thomas Frank in his programme notes for reaching 15 Premier League goals this season. And Burmo on 16. Free kick to Brighton just shy of the halfway line. So chances at both ends early on here at the G-Tech Stadium on Talksport 2.
Yeah, just looking at Brighton, we thought that Hinchwood would be at right back and Viffa will be in centre midfield, but it's not. It's actually Baleba and Hinchwood in that two holding midfield row, and Viffa out on the right side at the right back position for Brighton. Estepinian forced to turn back from the midway point of his own half under pressure from Mbermo. João Pedro back in his own defensive third as well. Now it's rolled back to Lewis Dunk, and he has to give the ball all the way back to Verbruggen, who prevented a corner only just, but had to clear the ball out of play very quickly for a throw-in to Brentford on this near side there, right, attacking the east stand. It's going to be a long throw coming in from Michael Kayode, on loan from Fiorentina, making his first Premier League start today. Had a good little cameo against Arsenal that probably got him this start today. What can he do with this long throw? Lots of movement in and around the 6-yard box, notably from Nathan Collins, who's made a run to the near post. It goes over his head, headed away by Dunk to the edge of the area, and then the Brighton player is caught. And it was actually Yakuba Minte trying to head it further clear. A bit of a clash of heads. So it's going to be a free kick to the Seagulls. It's 0-0 on Talksport 2, and we played 4.5 minutes. Dance, I can confirm, of someone who made a career having a long throw, that is a proper long throw, because sometimes you see players, push their teammates back and they don't even reach the 6-yard box. Kayode there has actually thrown that in the middle of the 18-yard box, but Brentford couldn't get the first connection. So with a long throw like that, Dance, I want to see him sort of do different throw-ins. I want to see him do a short one, get it back, then maybe go to the near post, then maybe go centre, then go on the edge of the box, just so then Brighton can't set themselves up when they know exactly where it's going to go.
Yeah, if you've got an Andy Legg or a Dave Challoner or a Rory Delap, you know what's coming. That's maybe why Liverpool hired a throwing coach not so long back under Jurgen Klopp, just to try and mix it up as you suggest. Minte's back on his feet, having had a little bit of treatment, so he's going to have to go off the pitch for 30 seconds or so. Reminder that Brighton start the day in 10th, a point above their hosts. 48 points for Brighton, 43 for Brentford. Brighton level with Bournemouth and Fulham, 6 points behind Chelsea and Villa, who occupy 6th and 7th. So it's still very, very tight for those. Well, depends how far it goes down for European qualification in the table. Yeah, but that's why we've said that. People said, because Liverpool won the title and we know the 3 teams are going down, that this Premier League's been a bit predictable. If you look at, the teams that can get themselves in the Champions League positions and the teams that get themselves in Europa League, I think this has still got a lot to play for. Back underway, and Brentford steaming forward through Kevin Schade down the left-hand side once again. Tries to play it across the face of goal, but there was good defending from a combination of Viffa and Van Hecke, who got a ricochet on the ball, so it trickled through to Bart Verbruggen, and it stays 0-0. So Verbruggen has already made a terrific save with his right foot, and we've had O'Reilly clipping a free kick narrowly over the bar. Could easily be 1-1 here. Yeah, well, Schade is smooth. No, silk, don't do it. Silk along that left-hand side for Brentford. You don't do it this early. I didn't. You did. You were halfway through it, and I stopped you. No. See, you bit. I knew I was going for smooth as silk. Just a little tester for you, just threw it out there. Incidentally, Bournemouth, who are level on points with Brighton, they're playing as well at Crystal Palace. There are 3 other Premier League games that are underway. No goals between Palace, Bournemouth, Everton, Man City or West Ham, Southampton. I'll keep you in touch with goals going in. Earlier today in the WSL, goalless draw between West Ham and Manchester United, and Liverpool won 2-1 at Brighton. And in the Champions League, you heard it here on Talksport 2, in the Women's Champions League, Lyon will take a 2-1 lead back to the Parc Olympique Lyonnais against Arsenal. Despite Arsenal getting a goal back from the penalty spot, Lyon won it 2-1. You heard it lunchtime. The other semi-final between Barcelona and Chelsea, that gets underway tomorrow evening. You'll hear that live on Talksport 2. And Aberdeen have into the Scottish Cup final. OJ Dabber with the winner in extra time, knocking out Hearts, who've gone down to 9 men. So the other semi-final tomorrow, Celtic or St Johnstone, they will take on Aberdeen in the showpiece final at Hampden. You're up to date on Talksport 2. Here's Matt O'Reilly at the edge of the Brentford penalty area. Went down under pressure from Coyote. Referee Tim Robertson had a look and decided there was nothing in it. And so Brentford bring it clear and then work it back to Sepp van den Berg at the edge of his own penalty area. What did you make of that challenge, Perry Groves?
Yeah, I think Tim Robertson, referee, got it right. I think that he's just got to be a little bit stronger, O'Reilly, when the ball comes into him. Just gone down a little bit too easy. Just looking at Brighton here, obviously got the full court press on. Brentford just trying to play up from the back, which is a different facet to their play, what we normally use for these Brentford sides. It just shows you how they've evolved their principles of play. Ball
up to the halfway line and collected by Jarmo, and he plays it through to Mbomo, who's in behind the centre half. Mbomo with a brilliant goal. What a breakaway from Brentford to get the ball through. Fantastic through ball from Keane Lewis Potter to release Brian Mbomo in behind Brighton's defence, ran towards the edge of the area and then smacks it right-footed past the goalkeeper for his 17th goal of the season. And Brentford in the sunshine hit the front, and Brighton have got problems here already by the M4. Brentford 1, Brighton 0.
Dance is brilliant play from Brentford. We said just building it up from the back in that left back position. We said about King Lewis Potter, can he pick the right pass? And Buemo gets himself in between Duncan Van Hecke, the two Brighton centre halves. Then he just takes a brilliant touch out of his feet with his left foot. Then it's onto his right foot. And that's a player full of confidence, Dance, because he had no doubt in his mind that he was going to score. With his instep with his right foot, he bends it back across for Bruggen, gives him absolutely no chance, and that puts Brentford 1-0 up here at the G-Tech.
And you're dead right, his first touch, the ball from Lewis Potter was fantastic along the deck, and it had him in between Van Hecke and Estepinian, but the first touch to get it out of his feet and therefore prevent Van Hecke or Estepinian getting any closer to him, because they were all running at pace into that half. Superb first touch, so Mbomo could just keep going without checking his stride, and the finish was unerring from the man who's now scored 67 goals for the Bees. 10 minutes gone, 1-0 Brentford. Here come Brighton, though, at the other end. Ball played into the area, looking for João Pedro from the right-hand side. Minter got the cross all wrong, though, and made it far too easy for Flecken to claim at his near post. So that's the first goal in the Premier League this afternoon here on Talksport 2, and it's come at the G-Tech. Well,
Told you, didn't I? It wasn't going to be 0-0. Too many good forwards on display. Obviously, the 2 games before this have been 0-0. And
Visser just dispossessed by João Pedro, and now Welbeck does well to keep the ball in play on this near side. Picture perfect playing surface, as always in the Premier League here at the G-Tech Stadium. It's funny, I was at Derby County yesterday for Talksport 2, and the pitch at Pride Park in a dreadful state of repair. The Women's League Cup final was played on that pitch. Don't know how that was allowed, but this playing surface is, well, it's like every blade of grass cut with a pair of scissors, isn't it?
Was it as bad as the baseball ground?
No, it's not quite that bad.
Oh, everybody loved the bare goal mouth, bare centre circle, bit of sand in the corners.
Having to paint the penalty spot that one day before Jerry Daly could take a spot kick. Cross from João Pedro, lovely cross. Minter at the far post heads into the side netting. That was a scare for Brentford. Suddenly João Pedro from the left hand side whipped in a right-footed ball, and Minter stealing in behind Lewis Potter from a very tight angle, got his head to the ball, but it smacked into the side netting, and Brentford have a goal kick. Brentford 1, Brighton 0.
Yeah, Brentford not working hard enough to close the cross down. João Pedro, you said, Dance, gets it on his right foot. Minter goes in at the far post, and what he's got to do, he's got to head it back across Flecken, and he scores, and he's headed into the side netting. So both teams just proving how good they are going forward. And we said about Brentford, Dance, the way they've evolved their playing style, that the goal epitomised them.
Coyote flicks the ball on neatly to Mbomo down the right-hand side. Gives it back to Coyote. Then Norgard works it in field for Van den Berg. Out to the left-hand side, and Keane Lewis Potter. Rico Henry is back amongst the Brentford substitutes and has been for recent weeks. Their first choice left-back before his crippling injury that's seen him miss so much football. But Lewis Potter has been doing an excellent job, slightly out of position on that left-hand side, and the ball from Burmo, worthy of the assist.
It was the epitome of a slide rule pass dance, wasn't it? Because he actually put it in between Duncan Van Hecker, but they worked it out from the left-back position, goes into Yarmouth, then back to Lewis Potter, and they're just good interaction and switch play between Mbeumo and Visser, because Visser comes short and Mbeumo then went and got himself in the centre forward position and ended up scoring with aplomb.
Here comes Damsgaard for Brentford, looking for Lewis Potter down the left-hand side, level with the 18-yard line, tried to win a corner off Minter, but quickly to it was Vifa, but Vifa's clearance almost went straight to the path of Damsgaard. Poor clearance from Brighton again, and Burmo with his back to goal 30 yards out just clips it infield looking for Norgard, but that's tidied up this time by João Pedro, but the ball escapes the clutches of Pervis Estepinian, and Coyote, lovely first touch just to get inside Estepinian, but then he tries to do too much and has the ball taken off his toe in midfield by Carlos Baleba of Brighton. 1-0 Brentford.
Ricardo actually beat himself, Dance, because he tried to do a little foot over, got the ball stuck between his feet, and Baleba just took it off him. Just looking at Brighton, they haven't really settled, in possession. They've been a bit sloppy, giving the ball away a little bit too cheaply. That enables Brentford to get themselves back into their team shape, where basically they go like a 4-5-1, leave Visser up front and get themselves nice and compact.
You're listening to Brentford 1, Brighton 0 on Talksport 2 with Sky Sports. Don't forget you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on now, like Aston Villa against Newcastle live later today. Just search Now Sports for all the details. Ball's back with Brentford keeper Mark Flecken. Passes out to the right-hand side of his penalty area for Nathan Collins, being watched by Welbeck. Gives it back to Flecken, who first time thumps it over the halfway line, but it goes nowhere near Mbeumo, and cushion header down from Dunk. Estepinian with a diagonal ball up to the edge of the Brentford box. Not fully cleared by Brentford. Minter has it back 25 yards out with his back to goal. Vifa gives it back to Yakuba Minter. Thinks about a cross into the box, then rolls it up to Welbeck at the edge of the D. Just to his right is Minter once again. Clips it over the head of a couple of Brentford defenders looking for O'Reilly. Brentford headed it clear, and then, Mbeumo was pushed over, and the Bees get a free kick just outside their own penalty area. Quarter of an hour gone on Talksport 2. Brentford 1, Brighton 0. No goals anywhere else in the Premier League to tell you about so far. Perry Groves.
Yeah, just looking at Brentford as well, Dance, when they're trying to play out from the back, they actually leave Mbeumo, Visser and Shardo up front. They actually leave them. Obviously, Mbeumo comes onto where the touch line meets the halfway line. Over the other side, Shardo goes the width on the left and leave Visser through the middle. So Flecken in the Brentford goal can get his head up a bit quicker. Sometimes they're 3v3.
Collins at the edge of his own penalty area brings the ball down on his chest, closed down by João Pedro, gave it back to the keeper, poor clearance, Welbeck trying to get onto it, and then he goes down under pressure, and the referee has just given a corner kick. I think he's deciding, Tim Robertson, he has given a corner in the end, because initially Flecken was given an awful pass back by Collins, cleared it just over the head of João Pedro. Welbeck ran onto it and then went down right at the corner of the 6-yard box in the dead ball line under pressure from Flecken. I'm guessing VAR will take a look here, Perry Groves, but as it stands, it's just a corner to Brighton.
Yeah, Flecken's right forearm was caught Danny Welbeck. It was just all untidy, Dance, wasn't it? It's untidy back pass from Collins to Flecken. Flecken untidy where he tried to get it under control. Came to Danny Welbeck. If Danny Welbeck takes a decent touch, he gets a shot on goal. Then it bounced off his shins. Tim Robinson, to be fair, the referee, Dance, he gave himself that sort of 2 or 3 seconds, didn't he, just to have a look at it and make his mind up. I don't think there's enough in it. I think Danny Welbeck goes down too easy. They've just had a shake in the hands, Flecken with Danny Welbeck. I'm not sure if Flecken would have shook in his hand if he'd have given a penalty.
Probably not. 17 minutes gone.
Game's gone. Football's too nice.
It's going to be a corner for Brighton, who trail by a goal to 0. O'Reilly to take it away to our left at the west stand end of the ground. Left-footed out swinger from O'Reilly. Header from Hinshelwood. Not really the power he wanted, and it was straight at Flecken, who could clutch hold of it gratefully. But that is another half chance for Brighton and Hove Albion. 1-0 Brentford.
Yeah, it's a good corner from O'Reilly with his left foot just out swinging from the left-hand side. Hinshelwood got away from his marker, didn't really get enough power on his header, and in the end, Flecken, it was just an easy catch.
Now Coyote has just been yellow carded for throwing the ball away when he tried to keep the ball in play for Brentford. The ball was adjudged to have gone out over this near touchline, and he somewhat petulantly threw the ball into the air, and referee Tim Robinson's having none of that. So on his Premier League first full start, yellow card for the Fiorentina loanee.
No, Coyote's just put himself bang under pressure, Dance, because he's got João Pedro up against him. If you was João Pedro, you'll be saying, right, the next 5-10 minutes, give me the ball, see if I can isolate him 1v1, because he's probably got 2 tackles left in him.
Well, here is Coyote trying to pressurise João Pedro as Estupiñán gets the ball back into play. 18 minutes gone on Talksport 2 in the Premier League. Brian Mbeumo's 17th of the season, making it Brentford 1, Brighton 0. Here is Welbeck, centre of the Brentford half, gets it up to the edge of the area. O'Reilly with a drive, it deflects off a Brentford boot and goes behind for another corner at the west stand end of the ground. Brighton asking some questions here, 1-0 down.
Really good play from Danny Welbeck, just coming a little bit deeper in the 10 position. Nobody goes with him, gets it to O'Reilly. O'Reilly then just tries to help it into the box, get deflection. Another corner for Brighton on their left-hand side.
O'Reilly's going to take it again, so it's going to be another left-footed out swinger from the former Celtic man. Welbeck, the only Brighton player in the 6-yard box. Others in yellow coming into the area now as the corner comes in. Dunk goes up with a header. Can't get anything on it. Brentford trying to get it clear. Bit of head tennis around the edge of the box. It'll drop for a Brighton player again. This time it was Estupiñán, but he couldn't keep the bouncing ball down. Eventually Brentford get it clear, and Baleba latches onto it. Goes to ground. Referee says play on because Brighton have possession. Left-hand side. João Pedro up to the edge of the area. Drifting down the left-hand side of the box. Tries to flick it into the area for Welbeck. Brentford had enough back to get it away, but only away for a short time because Mbeumo couldn't keep it in play on this near side. Another throw to Brighton. 19 gone. 1-0 Brentford.
Just looking at Christian Norgard, he's more like a coast guard, isn't he, for Brentford, Dance, because he just saves them. He saves them there because it looked like there was going to be a little 1-2 with Danny Welbeck and João Pedro, and Norgard's positioning is absolutely perfect. Just on the 18-yard box, cuts the ball out.
Now Damsgaard wins the ball off Baleba, tries to play a long ball over the top to ask Visser to give chase, but hit too far ahead of the Brentford number 11 and straight through to Verbruggen, the Brighton goalkeeper. Thomas Frank, the Brentford manager, desperate for a first win in 9 here at the GTEC Stadium, where their home form was really flip-flopped from 2024 into 2025.
Just looking at Brighton, obviously the ball's at Verbruggen's feet. Again, they leave free up front. If Verbruggen gets it out of his feet and pings it into Danny Welbeck, they're 3v3.
He was just given an awful pass back from Lewis Dunk, and under pressure from Visser, Verbruggen cleared it to not too far away from where Faye, myself and Perry are sitting in this south stand at the GTEC Stadium, and it will be a throw-in bang on halfway for the Bees to be taken by Coyote.
That's the second time that Lewis Dunk has put Verbruggen in a little bit of trouble. It was a sloppy back pass.
Had to be alive to it, Bart Verbruggen, and got to the edge of his area just before Wisser looked like he was going to steal the possession. Now at the other end, Flecken overhits his crossfield pass, the goalkeeper intended for Lewis Potter, so it's a throw-in for Brighton, taken quickly on the halfway line. 1-0 here, still no goals anywhere else in the Premier League so far this afternoon, and Villa Newcastle is a 5:30 kickoff. They'll keep you updated with that on Talksport during the course of the game day phone-in. Hinshelwood on halfway, lays it off to Baleba, who drives to the centre of midfield for Brighton, up to the edge of the area, but Norgard there again patrolling that midfield, steals possession back, and then Visser clips the ball out to his strike partner in Mbeumo on this near side, the Brentford right, just over the halfway line, being faced up by Lewis Dunk, so the impetus of that counter-attack has now gone, and Brentford have it back in their own half with Collins.
Yeah, they worked it quite nicely there, Brighton, between the two holding midfield players, Baleba and Hinshelwood. But again, it's just that final pass in the final third, and it's that man Norgard again, just screening his two centre halves.
We've got 7 wins and 5 defeats here, Brentford, at the GTEC. They didn't lose at home until December the 21st.
Well, they won 7 in the first 8, didn't they? Drew the other.
But since the new year, I think you and me were here for that game against Brentford, where it was horrific conditions, and Brentford won a mad game by 4-2. But yet 8 without a win in front of their own supporters. But there's no doubt that Thomas Frank is a manager with still plenty of credit with these fans who are loving life as a hardy perennial of the Premier League. So too with Brighton. And as Perry mentioned, 2 owners who know each other very well, Tony Bloom and Matthew Denham. Denham used to work for Bloom way back when. Brentford in possession, driven out to this near side, the right, lovely crossfield pass from Yarmolyuk to find Mbermo. Left-footed ball into the area, header by Schade, on target, but straight at Verbruggen, who gobbles it up and drops on the ball. Brentford 1, Brighton 0.
Great ball from Yarmolyuk, just spreading the ball out to this right-hand side to Mbermo, just getting it out of his feet. Just a couple of touches onto his left foot and just swinging it in to the penalty spot. Schade comes in from the left-hand side again, couldn't quite get enough power on his head up. Simple save for Verbruggen. But just looking at Brentford dance as well, Damsgaard, I know that you're a big fan of his as well, you know, like he's playing in the 10 position. He's got the licence just to float around, you know, laterally in behind Visser, and it's him who's getting these little passing movements going, just getting it in the 10 position, getting it back to Yarmolyuk. So Brentford have been better in possession than what Brighton have in those forward areas.
And we've reached the midway point of the first half. Brentford 1, Brighton 0 on Talksport 2. Flecken looking for Kayode, but that sailed over his head right into the Brighton dugout. And so the Seagulls will get a throw in just over the halfway line, down to our left-hand side. João Pedro's going to leave it for Estepinian. Busy day of sport yesterday across the Talksport network with all our EFL commentaries. Busy day of live sport tomorrow here on Talksport 2. We've got Rugby Union at 2:30 from Ashton Gate, Bristol Bears against Leicester Tigers. Then you've got that second Women's Champions League semi-final first leg, Barcelona-Chelsea from 5. And then we start our boxing coverage in Birmingham from the BP Pulse Arena here on Talksport 2, which will switch to Talksport at 9 p.m. Highlight of that is Ben Whittaker against Liam Cameron, rematch in the light heavyweight division. Ball on halfway, Brighton stroke it out through Lewis Dunk to João Pedro, steps inside Kayode, rolls it across to O'Reilly, 25 yards out, elects not to shoot, instead finds Minter just inside the area, right hand side. Vifa on the underlap actually wins a corner off the retreating Schade, and Brighton get a corner over in the northwest corner. Brentford lead 1-0.
Yeah, better play from Brighton. Just 1 and 2 touch coming into João Pedro, then into Vifa on that right hand side, then comes out to Minter, then Minter just gets on his left foot, Vifa goes on the underlap. They said there, corner for Brighton over on their right hand side.
To be taken by Matt O'Reilly. This one will be an in-swinger with his left foot. Welbeck, once again the only Brighton player inside the 6-yard box. Looks like man-to-man marking though from Brentford, no zonal really. Deep it goes to the far post. Van Hecker tries to head it back across the face of goal. It's only half cleared. João Pedro at the left-hand corner of the box, twisting and turning, trying to get the ball onto his left foot, tries to bulldoze his way past Kayode, but the right back wins the challenge and he wins the throw off 2 sliding Brighton players who tried to win it back. And Brentford can get the ball downfield, and they lead 1-0 with 26 minutes gone at the G-Tech.
Yeah, good defending from Kayode. He just made sure he kept his eye on the ball, because João Pedro has got very quick feet. He just had a little 1-2 himself from his right foot to his left foot.
There's a bit of afters here about where the ball's going. Are they going to book Purvis Estepinian for holding on to the ball the same way that Kayode was penalised? But I think the referee was having a chat with another player. It is currently Brentford 1, Brighton 0. For the latest odds, head to William Hill, the official betting partner of Talksport 2's Premier League coverage, where right now you can get Brentford to win at 4-5, Brighton to come back and win at 16-5, the draw priced at 27-10. That's all thanks to William Hill, 18 plus, begambleaware.org. Still no goals anywhere else in the Premier League except for here in West London. Brentford 1, Brighton 0. Minter on halfway, neatly turns away from Damsgaard, works it infield along the halfway line to Baleba. He then lays it off to Dunk. Plays a 1-2 with Purvis Estepinian, Lewis Dunk, and then strokes it out to this near touchline again for João Pedro. Dunk has it back once more. Estepinian had made a long run downfield but wasn't used. Van Hecken now picks it up to the right of the centre circle for Brighton. Plays the ball along the deck for Welbeck. Baleba helps it over the top. O'Reilly was on a run, almost broke for Welbeck inside the area, but snatched at the shot and couldn't get anything on it. And Coyote clears his lines for Brentford, but only half clear. Hinshelwood works the ball in field. João Pedro lays it off to Estepinian. Inside left channel for Brighton. Hinshelwood lays it off to João Pedro left wing. Level with the 18-yard line. Just slows the game down though, doesn't put the ball in at pace. Instead it's work from left to right as Van Hecker works it out to Minter on the far side of the field for Brighton. Faced up by Lewis Potter, gives it back to Vifa. Vifa's cross is blocked by Schade, comes straight back to Mats Vifa, and he'll give it back to Van Hecker. Van Hecker puts the ball into the penalty area, but volleyed away by Coyote, but only as far as Lewis Dunk. Bit of sustained pressure here for Brighton and Hove Albion. Dunk again, the captain, slides it in behind the defender for Estepinian, across the face of goal, and Welbeck's drive is blocked at source. Estepinian couldn't keep the ball in play at the dead ball line, and Brentford end up with a goal kick, and they still lead 1-0.
Well, it's a brilliant ball from Lewis Dunk. Like you said there, it was sustained pressure from Brighton. Could they find the right pass? And Wermo just goes to sleep. It's a great ball from Lewis Dunk inside into Estepinian. Estepinian tries to pull it back to Danny Welbeck. Dance, I think he should just be rolling it across the 18-yard box, but it's Brighton's best bit of sort of pressure there with possession in the final third of Brentford. They just couldn't quite pick the right pass from Estepinian, but really good play from Lewis Dunk.
Brighton have missed 63 what they call big chances this season in the Premier League, and they're under pressure at the other end as Damsgaard lobs it to Mbermo, right hand side of the area, tees it back up for Damsgaard at the edge of the box. And Burmo has it back right hand side of the area, cuts inside Baleba, clips it to the far post. Dunk heads it clear from inside his own 6-yard box, and Brentford will work it back to their own keeper. Danger at the other end though for Brighton once again, and Burmo trying to be the architect rather than the scorer this time. Damsgaard brings it out the sky, good covering from Jack Hinshelwood to get a toe end on it and put it out for a Brighton throw. Brentford 1-0 up.
I think and Wermo, their Dance, was caught in about 4 minds, because when the ball came out to him from Damsgaard, they worked it really well. He got it onto his left foot, and we're right behind him. You think with his left foot he's going to try and bend it in for Bruggen's top right hand corner, and instead put a lot of pace on it. Then he changed his mind and thought, oh well, I'll dink it to the far post and look for his teammate Visser, and it was a good defensive header from Lewis Dunk.
Half an hour gone on Talksport 2. Ian Danter and Perry Groves with you at the G-Tech. Faye's with us here as well. She'll be with you at half time. It's Brentford 1, Brighton 0, an early strike from Brian and Burmo just inside the 10th minute after a slide rule pass set him through from keen Lewis Potter. Long ball downfield, headed away by Lewis Potter, but only as far as the midway point of the half. Schade gives it back to Lewis Potter. He will clear it towards the edge of the centre circle. Little touch from Damsgaard, but it deflects off Lewis Dunk, and Brighton have it back. Still no goals anywhere else in the Premier League. It's only here where we have 3 o'clock Premier League goals this afternoon. Brighton work it infield to João Pedro, centre of the Brentford half. Back out to the right-hand side for O'Reilly. Lovely left-footed ball in, headed up in the air by Nathan Collins. Estepinian heads it back down as Brighton try and keep hold of it around the Brentford penalty area. It's worked back for Lewis Dunk. Estepinian takes over, then gives it back to his captain. Dunk keeps the ball away from Visser. Ball in field, just one in time by Van Hecker ahead of Damsgaard, but it was hurried, and Brentford have it back. Visser looks to be offside, but he couldn't get away from the attentions of Vifa or Dunk anyway, so it's back with Verbruggen 1-0 to Brentford.
Yes, and a couple of times Lewis Dunk has been sloppy in possession, nearly put his teammate Van Hecker in a bit of trouble. Just looking at Brentford, when they're out of possession, they drop back into like a 4-4-2 shape, where Damsgaard comes alongside Visser, and they actually say to Brighton after initial press, you're going to have to try and break us down. And I mentioned before, when it's at Verbruggen's feet, if he actually gets his head up.
And Burmo just skips around Welbeck. Damsgaard to the dead ball line, pulls it back, and Burmo had gone down earlier in the move, but the referee Tim Robinson allowed advantage, but the cross from Damsgaard along the deck didn't find a teammate, so Welbeck brings it clear for Brighton. Little touch from O'Reilly, gets Vifa into the game, and he rolls it infield for Carlos Baleba, who played at centre half against Leicester last week, back in his more natural habitat of defensive midfield. João Pedro out to the left wing for Estepinian. First time cross from Estepinian, somewhat telegraphed, and a comfortable clutch from Flecken at his far post. Brentford 1, Brighton 0, 32 gone.
Just like picking apples off a tree for Flecken. Just actually, it was a lazy cross from Estepinian, because again Brighton have worked it really well at this left-hand side, and what he needs to do is actually whip it with a bit of pace, and basically he's just, what is it, sort of a 9-iron, just chips up in the air. Flecken just come and collects it quite easily, so Brentford can get themselves back in possession.
Once we've got more live golf on Talksport 2 tomorrow night from the PGA Tour. Justin Thomas hit a course record to take the lead in that tournament, and we'll keep you updated throughout the evening here on Talksport 2 from moving day a week after Rory McIlroy celebrated completing the Grand Slam of golfing tournaments. 33 minutes gone on Talksport 2. Brentford in front, but Brighton in possession here. Pervis Estupiñán, the left back, finds his captain Lewis Dunk, yet to score this season. Lewis Dunk, for the club he's represented for such a long time now. Baleba, midway point of the Brentford half, gives it back to Dunk at the edge of the centre circle. He's got options right and left, goes slightly to his left for Estupiñán, gives it back to Dunk. Now he slides it just to his right for Jan-Paul van Hekke. Drives towards the right-hand corner of the penalty area. Feeds it out to Minter. Minter with a lovely ball into the box. Well defended by Collins because Welbeck was right behind him. It's won back though by João Pedro. Going to go for goal, and it fizzes over the crossbar from 20 yards out from João Pedro. Just couldn't keep it down. And that's a goal kick to the Bees, who still lead by 1-0.
Yeah, they've gone a little bit passive, Brentford, since they've taken the lead, because they've sat a little bit deep. That's enabled Brighton to get their passing fluidity going. Ball comes out to Minto on the right hand side, just tries to whip it in with his left foot. Good defensive header from Collins, then comes out to João Pedro, and what he's trying to do is the Ronaldo laces, we just hit through the middle of the ball so you get a bit of dip and swerve at the same time. Doesn't trouble Flecken in Brentford's goal.
You're listening to Brentford 1, Brighton 0 on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Making a big move or planning a clear out? Well, with vans of all shapes and sizes, if you've got a plan, they've got a van. Bart Verbruggen, the Brighton goalkeeper, just rolls the ball out in front of him inside his 18-yard box and clips it downfield to the left-hand side, looking for Estupiñán. And Burmo was the player furthest back and just protects the ball so that Flecken can dart out to the edge of his penalty area and claim it. Picture perfect afternoon in West London. Just a few fluffy clouds above us. It's lovely weather. Not warm necessarily, but pleasant.
Why have they got the floodlights on?
That's a good question. I can't really answer that.
I just thought, obviously you're miles more technical than me. I'm just looking up thinking, they've got the floodlights on here and it's beautiful sunshine.
Here's Baleba working the ball across the 18-yard line from left to right for Brighton, but he can't find Minter. Lewis Potter goes down. He's just clipped by Yakuba Minter, and a free kick goes the way of Brentford. I was mentioning that Brighton have missed 63 big chances. That's the third highest total in the Premier League, behind Chelsea and Liverpool. Maybe that tells a story about what's been happening, particularly in the past 5 games, Perry Groves.
Yeah, well, the top scorer is João Pedro with 10 and Danny Welbeck with 9, and Danny Welbeck isn't known as a prolific finisher, Dance, is he? He's got a brilliant attitude, leads the line really well, very good technically, so but he's not a prolific centre-forward.
Very quiet here all of a sudden in the G-Tech. Ball's rolled back to Flecken, outside of his penalty area, left-hand side of the box. Clears it downfield looking for Lewis Potter, but it's out of play. Brighton only a goal down here, although Van Hecke's just been really caught on the ball by Whistler down the left-hand side of the area. Back comes Mats Wiefer with a really good challenge to steal the ball off the Brentford number 11 when it looked like he was getting into the area at pace.
Yeah, Wiefer just got his teammate Van Hekke out of a big hole there because he just got his pocket picked by Visser. Visser thought he had him where he wanted him in the 18-yard box, and Wiefer just come in from behind him, just toe-pulled the ball away from him again. Brentford had just gone back into the low block.
Wiefer now on the overlap right-hand side of the area, but can't latch onto the ball because keen Lewis Potter read the danger, and he will now guide it back for Schade. Lewis Potter works it back to Sepp van den Berg at the dead ball line, making a bit of a meal out of getting this ball away from their own defensive third. And then Brentford win a free kick. The assistant on the far side says there was a pull on a Brentford shirt, and the Bees can now get it clear. Still no goals anywhere else in the Premier League. Palace, Bournemouth, Everton, Man City and West Ham, Southampton all still 0-0. 1-0 here to Brentford. 8 minutes of the first half to go on Talksport 2. Here's Mikkel Damsgaard, just over the halfway line. Behind him is Van den Berg in the centre circle. Plays it to his left for Yarmolyuk. Vandenberg again sees Mbermo in space on this near side of the right. It does make its way across to Mbermo now. Damsgaard just ahead of him, keeping the ball in play, and then he's caught by Estepinian. And the referee, helped by the assistant, gives the free kick Brentford's way. Chance for them to swing the ball into the box from deep here.
Yeah, just said there, it gives them a chance to put the ball into the box. It's just such a unnecessary, stupid foul from Estepinian, because Damsgaard is actually facing the touchline. He's going nowhere. And if you said to him, what do you want the opposition to do? Say, well, actually, just give me a little nudge in the back, then so I can go down. He said, yeah, so now it'll be Damsgaard with his right foot from this right-hand side. Will swing it into the 18-yard box.
It's a good, I'll say 25-30 yards from the dead ball line, but only a couple of yards in from this near touch line for Mikkel Damsgaard. Brighton holding their defensive line at the 18-yard line. Poor delivery from Damsgaard. Hit the first defender, Matt O'Reilly, who could head it clear, so Damsgaard has to go and retrieve just inside his own half. And then clips it down the right-hand side looking for nobody at all. Bounces 2 or 3 times through to Verbruggen. 1-0 Brentford.
Obviously, we do our analysing. I would say that wasn't probably the best 15 seconds of Damsgaard's career there, was it? So it was a really poor free kick where he hit O'Reilly, the first man, and then he just tried to play the ball in Brentford's right-hand channel, and there's absolutely nobody there.
Now given away by Dunk to Mbermo, who goes over the leg of Danny Welbeck, and that's another free kick to Brentford. Still about 30 yards from goal, but a little bit further infield this time. But another chance to put the ball into the Brighton penalty area.
Again, it was Lewis Dunk. I think that's the 4th time Dance he's given the ball away under no pressure whatsoever.
And a yellow card for Danny Welbeck into the bargain as well for that challenge on Mbermo.
Does every foul have to be a booking or a yellow card?
No.
I don't think that's a yellow card. It's Danny Welbeck just trying to get back and nick the ball off Mbermo. All right, he catches him, but there's no intent there, there's no malice, and all he's done, he's actually put his own team under massive pressure from another free kick, probably about 5 yards in from where Damsgaard snapped it last time. This time, can he beat the first man?
Well, the Brighton defensive line again is at the 18-yard line. Damsgaard now, better delivery, but actually I say better delivery, straight into the arms of Bart Verbruggen. At least he got the distance on it this time, but it was straight at the Brighton goalkeeper, and there was a push on a Brighton player anyway. So forward come the Seagulls. We've got 5 minutes of the first half to go on Talksport 2 in the Premier League. Exclusive here on Talksport 2. Brentford 1, Brighton 0. Early goal from Brian Mbermo, his 17th of the season. Jan-Paul van Hekke for Brighton thinks about a cross into the box, plays it into Welbeck, takes the ball on his chest, runs out towards the right-hand side of the area, towards the corner flag now, protecting the ball. Does really well, Welbeck, and he's won a throw for a Brentford player. 1-0 to the Bees.
Yes, on Damsgaard's free kick dance, you think he might have overcompensated because he knew he'd snapped the first one into like the near post, and this time he's
only human. He's only human.
After all, I'm going to put the blame on him.
Here is Lewis Dunk for Brighton and Hove Albion. Midway point of the Brentford half. Out to the left wing now, and Estepinian level with the 18-yard line of the Brentford box. Won't put a cross into the area. Instead, he sends it back to Dunk, who furthermore goes back to Van Hekke in the centre circle. That allows Brentford players to push out 3 or 4 yards from their 18-yard line. Yakuba Minter drifting back towards halfway. Pressing out even more now, Brentford, to try and squeeze the pitch. But it's with Matt O'Reilly, who's just got a bit of space to operate in over the halfway line for the visitors. Estepinian calling for it on this near side, but he's not going to get it. O'Reilly's not been closed down by anybody. Gets to 30 yards from goal. Again, Estepinian made a run, not used. It's worked back to Van Hekke, midway point of the half. But it's very slow. There's no real impetus to the ball into the area. They're taking their time over delivering the ball into the Brentford box here, Brighton. Van Hekke again plays the ball along the deck to O'Reilly. Now out to the right wing and Minter. 3 waiting for a cross, but it's not coming yet. Back to Van Hekke. Maybe it'll go into the area this time. Goes along the deck. Half cleared by Brentford, but now Lewis Dunk has it. Just to the left of centre. Finds Estepinian, left-hand corner of the box. Tries an early cross, blocked behind by Mbermo for another Brighton corner. 3 to go in the first half. Brentford 1, Brighton 0.
Yeah, Brighton just trying to open a few avenues. Brentford sitting deep, defending their 18-yard box with those 2 banks of 4. Mbermo getting back and double up on this right-hand side for Brentford. Estepinian just tries to get his cross in, ends up hitting Mbermo, goes out for a corner for Brighton on their left-hand side.
just down to our left where the West Stand meets the South Stand that we are sat in. Approaching half-time. O'Reilly with the corner into the near post, flicked away by Norgard, comes back into the box. Welbeck feeds O'Reilly, tries to send it across the face of goal, and Brentford trying to prevent a corner, and it has gone out for a throw in the end to Brighton. They did prevent the corner. Giving back to João Pedro, trying to juggle with the ball down this near touchline, and then Burmo volleys it away from him, out for another throw. Taking quickly, Estepinian sends a arcing cross into the box. It's only half volley cleared by Schade, but then he'll get another chance, the German, to run with the ball, but he can't get past Mats Wiefer, the Dutch player playing at fullback for Brighton today. Alert to that situation. It's out for a Brentford throw. 1-0.
You know, you mentioned earlier about the big chances that Brighton have missed. Just looking there was a sort of encapsulate, I think, what Brighton are about. Danny Welbeck, who is Brighton centre forward, comes over to Brighton's left hand side and he takes the throw in. It goes to Estepinian. Estepinian gets it with his left foot out of his feet, crosses it into the 18-yard box, and his centre forward is standing next to him, where Danny Welbeck should be in the middle. And I know he's the senior player, right, and I know he leads by example, but somebody should be saying to him, Danny, mate, don't worry about coming out in the wide areas. You make sure you stay central.
Brighton's away record is pretty good. They have the 6th best away record in the Premier League this season. 6 wins and 5 draws on their travels, but no winning 5 home or away in all competitions for the Seagulls, and they've been dispossessed by Burmo getting the ball off Estepinian. Now Wisser driving down the right hand side of the box, but he's offside. Perry Groves had his flag up before the assistant did. Free kick to Brighton. Yeah,
and Wiffer did really well in the right back position because he knew that he couldn't drop in behind Duncan Van Hecke, so he's looking right across the line. He knew that Wisser was probably about 4 or 5 yards offside. And this time, the assistant who's in front of us here actually put his flag up very quickly.
Schade dispossessed by Wiefer on the far side of the field for Brighton and Hove Albion as we move into the last 30 seconds of normal time in this first half on Talksport 2. About to find out how much additional time we'll get at the end of this first period. João Pedro drifting away from Coyote, who earned a yellow card early on in the first half, and will have to be careful for the rest of the game. And then Burmo's brought down by Baleba. He does work hard, Brian Burmo, defensively. It's not just about the goals that he scores. He puts a shift in for Brentford.
To be fair, Dance, the last sort of 25 minutes, it's been like Brighton have been the home team and Brentford have been the away team. But what happens is, I mentioned about Brentford getting back to their 4-4-2. The 2 wide players, Schade on the left-hand side and Brem on the right, they come back and they double up. So they help both fullbacks out. So you've got Coyote on this right-hand side and Lewis Port on the left-hand side. 2 young left-backs. They get protected. They get protected by their wide men, and Brighton have probably just moved the ball a little bit too slowly.
We're into 3 minutes of additional time at the end of this first half. Brentford leading by a goal to 0. Have a free kick in their own half, and Flecken has driven the ball up to the edge of the Brighton box. Up go the heads. It's headed on by Collins, but straight through to Verbruggen, who can catch it on his 6-yard line. Bowls it out underarm to Estepinian, but that's a short pass that's picked off by Burmo. Keeps it in play on this near touch line. That was needlessly done by Estepinian. First touch was dreadful, allowed Burmo to win it back. Collins gives it to Norgard, and Burmo again, this near side, the Brentford right, works it infield to Damsgaard. Damsgaard with an early ball clipped into the box, but very calm cushion header from Wiefer helps to get it clear, and then O'Reilly cushions a nice header down for Minter, but it just evaded the touch of João Pedro, and Brentford can work it back to their keeper. 1-0.
Again, just had a little couple of instances here with Brighton where they've been sloppy in possession, where they're not under any pressure whatsoever and just give the ball away cheaply, and then they can't get any sort of rhythm going in their possession play.
Damsgaard goes down, no foul, says the referee. Estepinian clips it across field for Yakuba Minte, picks it up again, approaching the edge of the area left hand side. Welbeck with his back to goal does brilliantly to win it, finds Wiefer, lofts the ball into the area, but a comfortable header clear from Vandenberg, but it comes back to Mats Wiefer on the right hand side for Brighton into the last minute of additional time at the end of this first half. Wiefer thinks about the cross, instead gives it to Van Hecke. Down the right hand side of the box, O'Reilly to the right hand corner of the area. His cross is blocked by Schade, but Brighton keep it. Dunk just past the centre of the Brentford half, tries to fire the ball out to Wiefer on the right hand side. Too much club on that, and a quickly taken throw gets Visser away down the left hand side. No support for the moment. And Vifa came back and took the ball off his toe.
Just looking at Lewis Dunk, Dan, so he's obviously Brighton captain, and he's a very good leader. That's the 5th time that I've counted that he's given the ball away under no pressure whatsoever. In the end, Vifa gets his teammate out of trouble and Brighton managed to recycle the ball. But that's why Brighton obviously have dominated possession in this last half an hour, but they haven't been able to break that 4-4-2 defensive shape down from Brentford.
Minter, right-hand side of the area, driving at Lewis Potter, can't get away from him, leaves it for Vifa. Vifa, the first time cross, Welbeck with a header, 1-1. Danny Welbeck stooped to conquer at the far post, and Brighton's pressure finally tells, and it's Danny Welbeck with his 9th goal of the season. The cross from the right-hand side of the box found Welbeck at the far post. He didn't really jump, but he just used his strength to guide the header past Flecken into the bottom corner, and right on half-time, it's all square at the G-Tech. Brentford 1, Brighton 1.
Dance we said about the centre forward being in the centre forward position. It comes out to Vifa just with his right foot. He just whips the ball in with his right foot, Vifa. And then he said Danny Welbeck is just standing in between the posts, and as the ball looks like it's coming behind him, it's a brilliant header because he's actually falling backwards as he's redirected it. Gives Flecken absolutely no chance whatsoever down to Flecken's right-hand side. It's a fantastic header from Danny Welbeck to put Brighton back level in this game here at the G-Tech 1-1.
And the 3 minutes of added time have been played, so they will play on. Crystal Palace are down to 10 men against Bournemouth. Chris Richards has had a second yellow. 2 lemons make a strawberry, but it's still 0-0 there. 0-0 at Everton and at West Ham. But here at the G-Tech, the half-time whistle has gone, and almost right on the whistle, Brighton drew themselves level. It's a great start from both sides, really attacking, looking for an opener. But Brentford hit the front on 9 minutes when Keane Lewis Potter sent Brian Mbeumo clear, and a brilliant finish from Mbeumo for goal number 17 of the season for him, past Bart Verbruggen. But Brentford seemed to lose their spark as the half went on. Brighton grew in confidence, and they eventually got themselves level when Vifa's cross from the right-hand side was nodded home expertly by former England international Danny Welbeck to make it honours even at the break here by the M4 in West London. It is Brentford 1, Brighton 1.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Dance. I think it's fair to say we've got the most entertaining game of the day in the Premier League so far, with all the other games goalless at half-time. And it was entertaining, and it was end-to-end, Perry, and it feels as if 1-1 is about right.
Yeah, I'd say so. I've got to admit, I think from Brentford, I think I've been a bit disappointed with them after going
in the final third.
Yeah, I've also going 1-0 up in the 9th minute. I know we'll talk about the goal in a minute, but they're the home side, and what's happened is because they've settled back into their defensive shut. I mentioned about the 4-4-2, and they go very deep. I just look at the stats before the goals gone in and any shots today. They've conceded 562 shots in the Premier League. This is the most of anybody, and you can tell why, because they drop deep, but they don't go and close the ball down. And Brighton were probably a little bit too lateral, going side to side, didn't move it quick enough. But the equalising goal stemmed from Brighton have a lot of possession, and it goes down the right hand side to Minter. No one goes to close him down. He rolls it back to Vifa. Again, no one goes and closes the cross down. Vifa just, with his right foot, just helps it into the 6-yard box. Who's standing there? Danny Welbeck, where the centre forward should be, and it's a brilliant falling backwards header because he can't jump because it's gone a bit behind him. But what he's made sure with his body strength is he's held the defender off, and as he's fallen back, he's redirected it, give Flecken absolutely no chance. And you're probably right, on the balance of play, 1-1 is probably about right.
It felt like an upside down table football header. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
You flip
it around the other way. It's like a felled tree, isn't it, when he's just going backwards and he's redirected it, and that obviously gets him in to his 10th goal of the season. And Danny Welbeck has led the line well. I was critical halfway through the first half because he come and took a throw in on this left hand side, and then Estepinian put the ball in. You're like, no mate, you should be in. And the reason he scored the goal is because he's standing in between the posts when the ball's coming in for right hand side.
Yeah, let's talk about Mbeumo's goal, because actually, Vifa, who made the equaliser, was struggling certainly in the first half an hour of the game down the right-hand side. We weren't expecting him to start in that right-back position at all, were we?
No, we thought he might be in centre midfield with Belieber, with Hinchwood at right back.
Exactly, and it looked like he was struggling to keep up with the pace of the game to begin with, and actually arguably at fault perhaps for that opening goal. But the ball that Keane Lewis Potter put in was inch perfect for Brian Mbeumo, split the defence completely in a fantastic finish.
Yeah, we mentioned about the way that Brentford have evolved their style of play, and that was epitomised. They worked it out from the left back from Lewis Potter into Yarmouk and then back to Lewis Potter. They said there Vifa got caught twitching between. He didn't know whether going cross down or sit off, so he actually caught himself in no man's land. When it comes to Lewis Potter, then it's can he pick the right pass? And Mbeumo mentioned about Visser and Mbeumo. Visser comes short, and Mbeumo then goes and stands in the centre forward position in between Lewis Dunk and Van Hecker, and it is a slide rule position pass from Lewis Potter right into Mbeumo's path. And when you're in that position, Faye, you've got to make sure that your first touch sets you up. And what he does brilliantly is his first touch sets himself up and goes across onto his right foot. That actually opens the whole goal out, and then he gives Verbruggen the eyes and he bends it back across him with his right foot low down to Verbruggen's right hand side, gives Brentford the lead 1-0 in the 9th minute. And then you think, right, now you've got the momentum, you go on and force, and they didn't. They actually, from probably about quarter of an hour on, they actually started to sit back, and that allowed Brighton to get themselves back into the game. And
they were a little bit lucky as well. Brighton did have a penalty shout. I've watched it again, and actually, you know, I do think Danny Welbeck made the most of it, but it was clumsy from Mark Flecken. But he did get, you know, a big bit of the ball. It looked like the ball was going out for a corner anyway. It was all a bit of a mess.
The whole
I think he got away with it.
Was really, really scruffy, wasn't it? It was a scruffy back pass from Collins, scruffy first touch from Flecken, comes to Danny Welbeck, scruffy big touch from him, because if he gets it out of his feet, he gets a shot on goal. Then it goes back. And I actually think Tim Robinson, the referee, did really well, because we're looking right down the barrel of where it happened, and he gave himself that 3 or 4 seconds, didn't he, just to go, right, I'll look at it. And Flecken's right forearm catches Danny Welbeck, but Danny Welbeck goes down like he's a scene in Platoon where he's like on the beach. And it was the right decision, because there's not enough in it for me for a penalty.
No, agreed. Go get yourself a coffee. Get one for me as well, please, Perry. Right, it is 1-1 here at half-time at the G-Tech. I'll bring you all the other half-time scores as well as all the incidents very shortly. But first, let's look ahead to tonight's Premier League action with Sky Sports.
Stay ahead of the game on Talksport 2 with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games, available with no contract, on now. Like Aston Villa versus Newcastle live today. Search Now Sports. 18 plus. Stream via internet. Terms apply.
Talksport's Adam Bridge is with us to look ahead to Aston Villa against Newcastle. Another big game at Villa Park. They're getting used to it, aren't they, Adam?
They are, Faye, and I think they want more of it. In fact, both of these teams want more of it. I think the taste of Tuesday night may well inspire Aston Villa onwards in this quest to kind of try and grab one of these top 5 places, of course, which currently Newcastle occupy, sitting pretty in 3rd. And I think amongst most people, it's starting to look like favourites to secure a Champions League place. But both of these sides are in terrific form at the moment. If you look at the current form table, alongside Liverpool, all 3 of them have had 5 wins and 1 defeat in their last 6 games. So it really is a bit of a clash of the form titans today.
Yeah, it feels like it, that's for sure. I'm excited about what the game is going to bring. I mean, look, we've seen that Aston Villa are more than equipped for Champions League football already. Newcastle have been there and done it before, but, you know, would probably like to progress further in the competition. Could you see both of these sides potentially getting back into the Champions League?
I think who's going to finish in the top 4 is an intriguing battle, isn't it? I mean, Newcastle, you feel, are going to kick on. It's quite interesting that they have kicked on, having won a trophy. You know, they could have taken their feet off the gas, put the flip-flops on after the long wait to actually win something. But that seems to just have inspired them. They seem to be kicking on in adrenaline terms and have just been in such terrific form. So I think they're pretty nailed on for me to finish in the top 5. I think City will get in as well. So then it feels you're talking a toss-up between Villa, Forest and Chelsea for the last spot. And I just think Unai Emery has potentially got the nod over Maresca and also Nuno in that respect, with his guile, the players he brought in January, and the form that Villa are in right now. I really wouldn't bet against Aston Villa, because we know Unai can do it. Although even in his time here at Villa, his sides have been known to tail off towards the end of the campaign.
Well, just a quick one on Ollie Watkins, because obviously he'll have been frustrated he didn't start again in midweek. Do you think he's going to be concerned about his future, or nothing to worry about because Marcus Rashford is likely to go back to Manchester United?
It's an interesting one, isn't it, with regards to Ollie, because he's had such terrific season still. I mean, he's in double figures with Premier League goals. His contribution to the side is fantastic as well. But there is that big question mark over Rashford. There was, of course, that bid that came in from Arsenal in the closing stages of the January transfer window as well. We know he's an Arsenal fan, so maybe the destiny says that Ollie Watkins will depart in the summer. It'll be interesting to see the lineups today. We're obviously only about 15 minutes away from it. I think Rashford may well start up top again, because I mean, he performed pretty well in that second half against PSG, didn't he? He was excellent. I mean, I would actually like to see Rashford on the left and Watkins up top, because I think Watkins offers a lot. But if I was him, I'd probably be pretty miffed to miss out on such a big game as he did on Tuesday night.
Yeah, without a doubt. Enjoy the game tonight, Adam. It's sure to be a good one. Thank you very much. That was a look ahead to this afternoon's Premier League action with Sky Sports. Don't forget, you can stream the biggest Premier League games, available with no contract, on now, just like Aston Villa against Newcastle, live today. Search Now Sports.
Stay ahead of the game on Talksport 2 with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games, available with no contract, on now. Like Aston Villa versus Newcastle, live today. Search Now Sports. 18 plus. Stream via internet. Terms apply.
This is Game Day exclusive on Talksport 2. Second half of Brentford against Brighton coming up next. Plus, we're going to round up all the other half-time scores from across the Premier League.
Talksport 2, official broadcast partner of the Premier League and the EFL.
Game Day exclusive on Talksport 2 with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games, available with no contract, on now. Like Aston Villa versus Newcastle. Search Now Sports. 18 plus. Stream via internet. Terms apply.
The season is shaping up, and whether they're going for glory or going down, it's all to play for. Get the ultimate football coverage with the Sun's free pull-out Goals. With the best writers pitchside for in-depth match reports, it's all about goals. And with unrivaled news from the Premier League to League Two, it has to be Goals! Stay up to date on all the latest football action. Get your free copy of Goals every Saturday, Sunday and Monday, only in the Sun.
A Minecraft movie has arrived in McDonald's Happy Meal. Help your little ones build their own adventure. Explore the overworld and meet exciting new friends. Some fun, some food, it's all inside this Happy Meal. Until 6th of May from 11 a.m. Includes one pre-selected book or toy. While stocks last, fair ordering policy applies. See mcdonalds.co.uk/Happy Meal.
You don't just check in to a village hotel. You work out. You jump in. You play on. You tuck in. And drink up. Village Hotels. 33 locations with everything under one roof. A huge gym with pool and great membership opportunities. And a buzzing pub and grill with delicious food, ice-cold beers and live sport. Check out villagehotels.com and work out, stay, meet and play.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Watching the big game cozied up in the snug. Balmy summer nights with the kids playing on the lawn.
We're playing real-life football!
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of April 2024 and 30th of June 2024 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
You could skydive out of a plane. Or swim with sharks. You might even skinny dip in icy cold waters. Or you could get that inexpressible high, that guaranteed rush from finding just the thing you wanted, the thing you needed, at a great sale price. IKEA sale now on. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
Get set for spring with great Easter deals on big brands at Screwfix. Like the DeWalt 18-volt XR brushless impact driver bare unit, now only $54.99. And the Titan 140-bar pressure washer was $99.99, now only $79.99. That's a saving of £20. Don't miss out. These Easter deals must end on the 21st of April. Shop the Screwfix app, online or in store. Subject to availability. See screwfix.com for full T's and C's.
Game day exclusive with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Rent from the best lineup in the UK. Enterprise has all the vehicles your business needs with the flexibility to rent for minutes or months. Talksport 2, official broadcast partner of the EFL.
This is Game Day exclusive on Talksport 2. I'm Faye Carruthers. We'll look at the half-time scores from this afternoon's 3 p.m. games in the Premier League. Crystal Palace 0, Bournemouth 0, but Crystal Palace are down to 10 players after Chris Richards was sent off for a second yellow card in added time in the first half. Just a reminder, Palace have lost their last 2 Premier League games. Bournemouth, though, were in 8th and looking to cement European football. Up at Goodison Park, it's Everton 0, Manchester City 0. Everton have come the closest to breaking the deadlock. James Tarkowski with a header hitting the crossbar. City, if they win, could move above Nottingham Forest into 4th. Forest, of course, play live on Talksport at 8 p.m. against Tottenham, which I will be at with Danny Murphy and Joe Shannon. West Ham 0, Southampton 0, but actually Southampton already relegated, don't forget. The better of the two sides at the moment, with Kamaldeen Sulemana hitting the crossbar. West Ham haven't won since the 27th of February, and Southampton looking to not get given the tag of the worst Premier League side in history. They need to beat Derby County score. They've got 2 more points to get in order to do that. Villa Newcastle is a 5:30 kickoff. Earlier on, Aberdeen reached the Scottish Cup final after beating 9-man Hearts 2-1 late in extra time. They'll play Celtic or St Johnstone, who face each other tomorrow. In the Barclays Women's Super League, Manchester United failed to draw level with Arsenal in second place after a goalless draw at West Ham, and Liverpool moved into 5th with a 2-1 win over Brighton. And earlier on Talksport 2, you'll remember we brought you the first leg of the Women's Champions League semi-final, with Arsenal suffering a 2-1 defeat at home to Lyon. The other Champions League semi-final sees Chelsea travel to Barcelona in their first leg, and we have live commentary of that on Talksport 2 tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Teams are out here at the G-Tech for the second half between Brentford and Brighton. Sit back and enjoy second half commentary with your team of former Arsenal winger Perry Groves alongside Ian Danter.
Thank you, Faye. Well, there's no sign of any changes from either manager at the restart. So as you were when things kicked off here. Brentford in their red and white stripes, black shorts and socks. They'll be kicking towards the west stand end of the ground in this second half, with Flecken in goal, Coyote, Collins, Vandenberg and Lewis Potter, and then Norgard and Jarmolyuk holding midfield, and Burmo, Damsgaard and Schade behind Visser in attack. For Brighton, for Bruggen, the goalkeeper, you've now got Vifa, Van Heckert, Dunk and Estepinian at the back. Hinshelwood, Baleba, O'Reilly, Minter, Welbeck, the goal scorer for them. We've got the equaliser, and João Pedro. Brighton in their change strip of yellow today with a blue pinstripe down the centre. Here's Mikkel Damsgaard trying an early drive at the start of the second half, but it's won back only briefly by Brighton. Work back to Damsgaard again into the area space for a chance for a goal. Oh, the Brentford players just couldn't get the shot on goal. It worked out to the right-hand side. Jarmolyuk couldn't get the drive away. Goes back into the box. Schade with a header that drifts wide of the post, and it will be a Brighton goal kick early on in this second half. 1-1.
Jarmolyuk had a massive panic-up dance because they worked it really well from Damsgaard into Jarmolyuk on the left-hand corner of Brighton's penalty box, and if he gets the ball out of his feet, he can get his shot away with his right foot, gets it stuck underneath his feet as a panic-up, then that enables Brighton to clear the danger. But it was a big chance there early in this second half for Brentford.
Danny Welbeck couldn't quite take the ball off Lewis Potter, clips it out to the right-hand side. Brentford are attacking the west stand to our left-hand side as we sit in the south stand here in the press area at the G-Tech Stadium. The dugouts are just below us, down to our left-hand side. Brighton attacking the east end of the ground. That's where their supporters are, in the southeast corner, having travelled it from Sussex. Here's João Pedro working the ball back for Jack Hinshelwood. And now Estepinian plays a right-footed ball into the centre circle. Welbeck tries to lay it off to João Pedro, but instead it's Norgard who lobs it over his head. Lewis Duncan just let this ball drift out of play for a goal kick to Brighton away to our left-hand side. Brentford with the second most accurate long balls average per game. Only Everton have managed better. I don't know whether we class Keane Lewis Potter's pass for Brian Mbeumo as a long ball, though, for the first goal of the afternoon.
It was a long precision pass.
And given away by Verbruggen from the goal kick. Damsgaard sliding it into the area. Visser down the right-hand side of the box, gives it to Mbeumo, curls it goalwards, and it's an early second-half goal from Brian Mbeumo, his second of the afternoon, to put Brentford back in front. It all started from a poor clearance at the back by Bart Verbruggen, the Brighton goalkeeper. There was still plenty forward in Brentford red and white, and it was rolled across to Mbeumo, and with his left foot, he did the rest. Brentford 2, Brighton 1.
Dance, it's such a bad ball out from Verbruggen. Then Brentford intercept it. It comes to Damsgaard on the edge of the 18-yard box. Then he just sees Mbeumo on his right-hand side. He just rolls it out to him, and Mbeumo just gets it onto his left foot. Estepinian doesn't get quick enough to him to go close down. He uses Estepinian as a screen dance, and he just bends it around him with his left foot. Starts it outside Verbruggen's right-hand post and just bends it in that right-hand post. I think Verbruggen actually could do a bit better, maybe move his feet a bit quicker, but a brilliant finish from Brian Mbeumo to put Brentford 2-1 up here at the GTEC Stadium.
Well, I think it's taken a touch off Lewis Dunk as well, off his chest, as Mbeumo hit it, and that was what stopped Verbruggen getting a right hand to it as he flung himself to his right-hand side. Just over 17,000 here at the GTEC have seen Brentford go back in front, and now Damsgaard's in behind. Vifa has to get back goal side and does so and wins the ball back. It's cleared downfield, flicked on by Welbeck, and now Brighton have got to do it all again, having spent most of the first half trying to get themselves back on terms. They did right on the half-time whistle through Welbeck, and now almost as soon as the second half is underway, we played 4 minutes since the restart, they're 2-1 down, the Seagulls.
Again, it's the modern day trend now, dancing. The goalkeepers playing out for. I bring Pep Guardiola actually, because he's the one who made goalkeepers play with their feet now, because he got rid of Joe Hart, didn't he, when he first went there, and went, you're not good enough to play out from the back. So he went and got Claudio Bravo, and now all goalkeepers have to be good with their feet. And for Verbruggen there was really, really poor. It was just a really slack pass right down the centre of the pitch, enabled Brentford to just win it back nice and easy out to Damsgaard. Then out to Mbeumo. You said there, Mbeumo gets on his left foot. Slight little deflection off Lewis Dunk. Gave Verbruggen absolutely no chance.
2-1 here to Brentford. 1-0 to West Ham against Southampton early in the second half at the London Stadium. Jared Bowen putting the Hammers in front. Still no goals. Crystal Palace down to 10 men against Bournemouth, and Everton against Manchester City. Here on Talksport 2 at the GTEC. Brentford 2-1 up. But they've got some defending to do here as O'Reilly nods it infield to Baleba. But under pressure from Yarmolyuk, he has to work the ball back into his own half for Lewis Dunk. Dunk slides the ball over halfway into João Pedro, who just gets on his bike and turns down the left-hand side. Coyote books in the first half, does win the ball back off João Pedro. Damsgaard hustling down the right-hand touchline, has actually won a free kick, and he was away, and Tim Robinson blew his whistle to give Brentford a free kick. And Damsgaard looks to the skies as if to say, why didn't you let me carry on my run? I was clear. 2-1 Brentford, free kick.
Yeah, we always say about the referees give themselves that, sort of 2 or 3 seconds, which Tim Robinson did in the first half, where he looked at the Danny Welbeck incident with a penalty, which wasn't a penalty. There, as I said, if he just hesitated, and then Damsgaard would have been away.
Ball's back with Mark Flecken, who's wearing a cap because the sun is setting over to our left-hand side over the west stand, so he's just making sure that he's not going to lose sight of the ball at any point. Ball's back with Yarmolyuk, just splitting the two Brentford centre halves for the moment. Here's Sepp Vandenberg out to the left-hand side for Keane Lewis Potter. Infield it goes to Christian Norgard, just over the halfway line, has to go back into his own half under pressure from Baleba for Vandenberg, and then Collins will work it back to Flecken once again. Our next live football is tomorrow tea time here on Talksport 2. Barcelona against Chelsea in the Women's Champions League semi-final first leg. Arsenal lost at home at the Emirates in their semi-final first leg. You heard it live here against Lyon by 2-1. And then we've got a feast of Easter Monday football for you across the network from the EFL and the Premier League. I'll be at the Rodney Parade Stadium for Newport against Walsall in League 2 at 12:30. Walsall gone off a cliff. They were 12 points clear in January. Now they're in 4th in the table. But with that game, if they win it at the Exiles, they go back top ahead of the 3 o'clock games. Then we've got Leeds, who could win the title or could go up automatically. They take on Stoke at 3 p.m, who are pretty much safe. Then we've got Burnley, Sheffield United. Wow, what a game that will be at 5:30 at Turf Moor on Talksport. And then Forest travel to Spurs at 8 o'clock for our Premier League exclusive commentary on Monday night. Lots of football to come. 7 minutes gone in the second half here. Brentford 2-1 up, and Norgard tries to drive the ball out to Mbeumo, who's on a hat-trick. Gets there eventually. Estepinian headed the ball up in the air, trying to clear it, made it easier for Mbeumo to win it back. And now Sepp van den Berg carries the ball into the Brighton half, works it out to Lewis Potter, left-hand side, level with the area, checks onto his right foot, whips in a lovely centre, flicked away by Van Hecker and behind for a corner. There were Brentford players queuing up at the far post. They have a corner out of it, 2-1.
That's brilliant play from Lewis Potter on Brentford's left-hand side. Minter doesn't get close enough. He's got to go and close the ball down. Lewis Potter then can get it onto his preferred right foot and just swing it in with his right foot, just trying to just pick out Visser at the far post. In the end, it's a little nick from Brighton defender, goes off for a corner for Brentford over on their right-hand side.
Well, even though he's on a hat-trick, and Mbeumo's still taking the corners in the northwest corner over on the far side of the field from us. It'd be a left-footed in-swinger from Mbeumo. Packed 6-yard box, mostly with Brighton players. There's 1 or 2 Brentford in there. Norgard and Damsgaard are in there. In it comes from Mbeumo to the far post, nodded down on the goal line. It's a scramble to get it clear, and then Visser tries a drive from the edge of the 6-yard box, and Brighton still managed to get it out of danger.
Just a floated corner from Mbeumo with his left foot to the far post, and Visser's completely unmarked, just rises like a salmon, gets his head to it, and then there's a decent save from Verbruggen at his near post.
Lewis Potter works it in field for Norgard, across to Damsgaard, who shovels it out to Mbeumo on the far right-hand side of the field, level with the 18-yard line. Tries to go on the outside of João Pedro, did so, took a touch. Another corner to Brentford in that northwest corner. They lead 2-1.
There's miles more intensity dance about Brentford at the beginning of this second half. You can bet your life that half-time Thomas Frank has said to him he thought they were too passive in that last half hour of the first half. They've been 10 yards further up the pitch. Their passing has been a lot more intense. They're closing down. Now it's another corner for Brentford over on their right-hand side to be taken again by Mbeumo, in swinging with his left foot.
He's got Damsgaard for a short corner option at the right-hand corner of the box, but I don't think he's going to use him. Indeed, Damsgaard now moves away as Mbeumo, left-footed again, deep to the far post. Collins goes up, gets the head on it, but straight at Verbruggen, and Brighton can clear their lines.
Well, against all odds, Collins wins it at the far post, just rises. He's got to try and get that header back across the 6-yard box. In the end, it just goes straight into Verbruggen's midriff.
It's a good job this isn't an evening kick-off, because you probably would have said Collins in the air tonight.
Oh, I'll get across that one out then.
João Pedro, left-hand side for Brighton. 2-1 down here, the Seagulls, drifting towards the edge of the area. Lays it off to Hinshelwood. And then Belabor works across to Van Hecker. Van Hecker clips the ball into the box, but it's headed clear by Norgard. Damsgaard guides it down for Yarmolyuk, and he slides it forward. It's 2-on-2 for a moment, but Visser couldn't take the ball with him inside the centre circle. But there was him and Mbeumo up against Van Hecker and Dunk. But it didn't come off for Brentford on that occasion.
Yeah, it's good play from Damsgaard, just roll it into Visser. He said he just couldn't get the ball from out underneath his feet, because if he does, then Mbeumo's totally free on the right-hand side. I think that might be a feature of this second half, because obviously Brighton have got to get themselves on the front foot to go and get themselves back into this game, and they're going to leave 2v2.
Great skill, and Mbeumo on the far side of the field drives it through the centre, looking for the run of Schade, but it was overhit, and the German couldn't latch onto that. But this is better from Brentford. They lead 2-1 with 11 minutes gone of the second half on Talksport 2.
Yeah, this is a lot more sprightly in this second half. And Mbeumo over on that right-hand side, obviously with his 2 goals, he's just trying to ping in Schade, just overhit it probably by about 3 yards, went through to Verbruggen, who then just lofts it straight up the pitch.
Belabor gets a good header on it, finds Welbeck at the edge of the area for Brighton, now drifting down the right-hand side of the box, lays it back to V for right-hand corner of the area. His cross led to Welbeck's equaliser, but this time that cross is deflected, and again Mbeumo was sent racing clear down the right-hand side. Sharda is up with him, Wisser at the edge of the area, rolls it back for Visser! 3-1! And the quick counter-attack pays dividends for Brentford, as this time Brian Mbeumo turns provider, rolls it across for Visser, who via a deflection makes it 3 for the Bees, and Brighton's hopes of European football continue to slip away here. Brentford 3, Brighton 1.
Dance, we said that Brighton might leave themselves a little bit open. That is a magnificent pass from Damsgaard, just deep in his own half. He just puts fade on it to the right-hand side for Brighton. Mbeumo, who's completely unmarked. Then can he pick the right pass? Just looks over his left shoulder. Who's coming in? His teammate Visser just takes a big deflection. I think it's off Lewis Dunk. Gives Bruggen absolutely no chance whatsoever. Brentford go 3-1 up. You can hear the GTEC Stadium is absolutely rocking. Fantastic play from Brentford on the counter-attack. Brighton, have they got an answer? I'm just looking at their body language and their heads are all dropped at the moment, Dance, but that was a brilliant counter-attacking goal from Brentford.
Well, Johan Visser was going like a train to try and keep up with play. Sharda was the one player who was right up with Mbeumo as he raced clear down the right-hand side, but Visser just made sure he was there and got the touch. It actually went off Jan-Paul van Hekke in the end, and it ends up in the back of the net. 3-1 to Brentford, and we've not yet played an hour at the GTEC Stadium. Here's Welbeck getting the ball down the left-hand side, though. João Pedro inside the area, drives past Coyote, across the face of goal, and Hinshelwood couldn't get a touch right in front. It slips away, and it'll be a throw to Brentford down by the corner flag, and it stays 3-1 to Brentford when it could have been 3-2.
Yeah, Brentford had just gone to sleep straight from the kick-off. Comes out to João Pedro on that left-hand side, does a little foot over, goes on the outside of Coyote. I think, again, he's got himself caught in two minds, because it's a cross shot, and I think he's actually just taking responsibility himself and getting his shot away and testing Flecken, but then it just zips across the 6-yard box. No one get the final touch. But we just said, Dance, about Brighton just sort of committing too many bodies forward, exactly what they did for Visser's goal. They find themselves 3v2 on an overload, but it was a magnificent ball from Damsgaard, Dance, with his right foot. Just put fade on it, didn't just cut it into Mbeumo's path, and he picks the right pass for Visser, who gets the deflection, goes past for Bruggen. Now, can Brighton have any answers?
You're listening to Brentford 3, Brighton 1 on Talksport 2 with Sky Sports. Don't forget you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on now, like Aston Villa against Newcastle, live later today. Just search Now Sports. An hour gone. Brentford 3, Brighton 1. Ian Dancer and Perry Groves with you. Faye's here with us as well. And Bart for Bruggen, who could do nothing about that third goal. The deflection from Van Hekke took it away from him. Now a foul by João Pedro on Nathan Collins. And the referee will want a word with João Pedro. At the very least, Collins is slowly picking himself up, being helped up by Yakuba Minte. And the referee is now looking to see where João Pedro on the pitch. He's walked away to try and evade the referee's gaze.
Well, it's just a little coming together, because as the ball's coming into João Pedro, Collins...
Oh, red card! He's given a straight red card to João Pedro for that clash with Nathan Collins off the ball. We'll have to look at a replay to see exactly what it was that João Pedro did that left Nathan Collins flat on his back. But no yellow to match the colour of his shirt. It's a straight red for João Pedro. And now Brighton, 3-1 down, are down to 10 men.
Dance, at first it just looked like a coming together. When the ball comes into João Pedro, Collins is just trying to get in front of him, and then it must be a flailing arm. But the referee, Tim Robinson, he's deemed that obviously it's a deliberate action from João Pedro. Just watching the replay again, we're just seeing if there's any elbow, and they're just holding on to each other, and then it's
a flail of the arm.
Yes, he's sort of right arm come elbow, as they just have a little tangle, tussle together. A little bit of frustration from João Pedro. There's one kick and there's one flick of the arm on that dance. I tell you what, I'm just looking at it. There's no elbow there at all. There's a little flick from João Pedro's right foot.
VAR is going to check this for violent conduct. Now, the decision on field was red from Tim Robinson, so it's now down to the VAR officials, James Bell and James Mannering, and the decision is upheld. And Pedro does have to go off for an early bow.
We haven't seen every angle dance, have we? We've seen one angle where obviously there is a bit of a wrestle together. There's a little flick with his right foot from João Pedro. Then it looks like there's a flick of his right arm. It's definitely not a violent movement as like an elbow. So Tim Robinson has obviously decided that he thinks it's a straight red. You said there, James Bell is the VAR. He's looked at it and he might have different angles to us, Dance, where he's not going to go against the referee's decision.
We only saw the angle from behind the goal at the east stand end, and there were no close-ups. It was all long shots that we've seen, but it may well be that the VAR officials have seen something a little closer up. But anyway, it's all semantics. João Pedro's gone, and Brighton's task has just got even tougher. Got to find 2 unanswered goals just to get a point here. And they're going to make changes, and they're going to bring attacking changes on. They're going to bring on Kara Matoma and Solly March to try and arrest matters here at the GTEC Stadium. We've played 63 minutes. Brentford 3, 10-man Brighton 1. João Pedro already back in the dressing room.
John, it's just frustration, Dance, wasn't it, from João Pedro? Because as the ball's coming into him, Collins is trying to get in front of him, obviously really close. There's a bit of a tangle. From the angles that we've seen, I think that looks quite harsh, but there might be another angle that shows a deliberate elbow. But I just think it was a flick of his right foot and then sort of flailing right arm. Collins has gone down again, I think, too easily, which the modern day players do. So you'd say he's been cute, and he's obviously contributed to the fact that João Pedro has been sent off.
3-1. 64 minutes played, so Brentford in the box seat here, and away goes Mbermo down the right hand side, but this time Dunk, he's giving it straight to Schade from a tight angle, hits the side netting. Well, Lewis Dunk was trying to get the ball back to his keeper as he managed to get in front of Brian Mbermo as he raced clear down the Brentford right, but the back pass was under hit. Schade onto it, but from a very tight angle could only hit the side netting. Stays 3-1, and here come the changes for Brighton. And Minter is coming off for March, and O'Reilly is coming off for Mitoma. So one wide player comes off, and also a number 10 effectively. And a change being made by Thomas Frank. And I think just to protect Michael Kayode, who was on a yellow card from that challenge on João Pedro, he comes off, and Christopher Ayer, who he replaced in today's starting lineup, will come back on at right back. What have you made of his first Premier League start today, Perry? Michael Kayode.
Yeah, he was just very steady, Dance, wasn't he? You wouldn't say, he was like outstanding. You said he picked up his yellow card in the first 2 or 3 minutes. You thought he was under a little bit of pressure, but he showed good composure. He's very athletic, isn't he? Likes to get forward. We said there, Thomas Franks probably looked at it and thought, right, you've had your sort of just over the hour. I'll put Ayer on. We're 3-1 up. We just have what we hold, basically. Now it's just whether now Brentford can control this game and see it out, because we've got Brighton down to 10 men. Solly March has been put on for Brighton. I think, as Fabian Hertz said, the Brighton manager just thinking, right, can we try and get control of the game, because Solly March is very, very good in possession.
4-4-1 now for Brighton, with Baleba and Hinshelwood in central midfield, and March and Mitoma as wingers. Welbeck on his own up front, and the same back four as it was at the start of the game. They've been looking at replays back at Talksport Towers, and hard to see what the offence is, but a kick as well as an arm may have been used at the same time by João Pedro. It's classed as violent conduct. He's gone. Here's Lewis Potter down the left-hand side of the area, finds Damsgaard in the box, squares it across to Schade at the near post, has to run towards the dead ball line to keep hold of it. Brighton win it back, and it is Solly March fresh onto the pitch, but then he forgets to clear the ball down the touchline. It's out of play for a Brentford throw. Midway point of the second half, we're approaching that now, and the Brentford fans enjoying themselves in the spring sunshine. 3-1 up. They've got a man advantage for the rest of this game, and now they've got to throw about 5 yards from the corner flag down this left-hand touchline, to be taken by Kevin Schade. No long throw, really. He's not taking a long run up.
His Brighton teammates put him under pressure because there's nobody outside the 18-yard box.
Now he's moving back towards the advertising hoardings, and Schade is going to now launch it into the near post. Flicked onto the 6-yard line off the chest of Van Hecker, and anywhere will do from Baleba. Brought down by Mitoma. A few Brentford fans on the far side of the field felt he used an arm to bring that under control. Caro Mitoma. It ends up being a Brentford throw on the far side of the field. And the referee just wants to check this, I think. They're not allowing the throw-in to be taken. Ball dropped out of the sky. That's off the T-shirt line. That is not a handball. If that's given as a handball, the game has officially gone.
No, it's not a handball, Dad. As you say, he's just rolled down right-hand side of his chest. His arm's completely away from his body. So there's nothing to see here. So VR James Bell, just don't keep looking at different angles. Just play on.
And they do, with the throw-in for Brentford.
If you're looking at the sending off, we haven't seen all the angles, have we, from João Pedro, obviously just flicking out of Collins. If he'd have given just a yellow card, Dance, no one would have gone, oh, that's a ridiculous decision, he should be sent off.
Well, your reaction just before the red card was brandished told me all I needed to know. We weren't entirely sure what had happened, but it just seemed, well, excessive. But maybe that's it. They deemed it excessive force and violent conduct from João Pedro. VAR checked it and upheld the decision, because remember, the decision wasn't made at Stockley Park, it was made on field by Tim Robinson. Brentford 3, Brighton 1 into the last quarter of the game. Here is Yarmolyuk, works it out to Damsgaard inside right channel. He's got Aya going on the overlap, but he'll work it back instead for Norgard. Norgard now looks for Aya on the right hand side. He just lays it back off to Damsgaard. Norgard again finds Yarmolyuk in the centre of the Brighton half. Wisser in that central area as well, picks it up, works it back out to Christopher Aya right hand side. They're cheering every completed pass now away to our left at the West End end, the Brentford fans, as Norgard tucks it in field for Damsgaard and back for Collins on halfway. Oh, and he nearly slipped and handled the ball, Nathan Collins. Got away with that.
And he looked down as if there was a bobble or a divot. Doesn't happen in these Monday pitches, mate, sorry, unless a mole pops up.
Laid back by Vandenberg, and then Mbeumo tried, well, that was ambitious, and it was blocked at source by a Brighton backside. Worked back in field to the halfway line, and Collins squares it across for Vandenberg. Short pass in field to Schade, but that's intercepted by Brighton, but then Brentford win it back. And Thomas Frank still cutting a very frustrated figure. His team are 3-1 up, but he is not entirely happy with what he's seeing with the way that Brentford, I think, are surrendering possession all too often in his eyes, despite having this 2-goal advantage.
Do you know what? This is a brilliant time to give your team a bit of a rollicking, because they've come out on the front foot in this second half. They were too passive at the end of the first half. They've been on the front foot. They've got themselves 3-1 up. A couple of finishes from Mbeumo and Visser. And now, because his team have got a bit sloppy, you know what they're listening to, Dan? To listen to the Olays, aren't they, from obviously the Brentford fans. And he doesn't want them to get sloppy. I think he feels that if they're professional, they could go on and get a couple more goals. But when you're 3-1 up and you know the opposition's down to 10 men and basically know the game's won, it's very difficult to keep that intensity. The one player who's going to benefit is Damsgaard, because he's been influential in this second half. And so the ball we put through to Mbeumo for the second goal was absolutely outstanding.
Lewis Potter having a run down the left-hand side for Brentford, down the left-hand side of the box, gives it back to Yarmolyuk, thinks about a cross into the box, but instead lays it across to Norgard. Now Yarmolyuk again, right-footed ball deep to the far post, brought down on the chest of Mbeumo. Schade with him on the right-hand side of the box, finds Visser back to goal, edge of the area. Damsgaard will give it back out to the right wing and Brian Mbeumo. Chance to measure across this time, deflected up in the air. Estepinian can't prevent the corner to Brentford over on the far side of the field in the northwest corner. And Brighton are struggling to get the ball out of their own half of the field, as they are a man down and 3-1 down.
There's not many times in your professional football career, Dan, where you can actually enjoy games, because obviously you know full well the pressure's on to get your wins. But with 18 minutes to go of normal time, the Brentford players, you can tell, are enjoying this. There's a big smile on Brian Mbeumo's face when he just tried to get his shot off. He got blocked. Another corner for Brentford over on their right-hand side, and Buemo will take it in swing with his left foot.
Packed 6-yard box once again. Sharda waiting just around the penalty spot. Also, a couple of Brentford players waiting on the edge of the 18-yard line. In it comes again. Scramble clearance from Brighton, comes out to Yarmolenko, elects not to shoot, works it back out to the right hand side, and Burmo, left-footed ball whipped into the near post. It's Welbeck who headed it clear that time, and out it goes for a throw to Brentford, level with the edge of the Brighton penalty area. And Sharda, who's already hurled one long throw into the box, is going to have another, and I think we're going to see Rico Henry, are we? Coming on for Brentford. This will be a nice moment for the home fans to salute a player who's missed so much football through injury.
Yeah, I think he played in the B team on Monday, obviously to get himself back to full fitness. And you just know that it's going to be a massive cheer as soon as he comes on. He'll just come play in the left-back position.
And Burmo clips the ball into the box, and Verbruggen claims it underneath his crossbar. Matthias Jensen going to come on as well for Brentford in just a moment at the next break in play. Might be some more Brighton changes in the offing as well. But Brentford had the 3-1 advantage. There's 17 minutes to go. Vifa plays it up to halfway, where it's held up by Hinshelwood. Hinshelwood gives it back to Vifa. And now Baleba leaves it once again for Solly March. March works the ball back into his own half down the touchline, and Vifa did well to keep it in play. It will be Diego Gomez going to be brought on in a moment for Brighton, just stripping down to his kit. Yassin Ayari is going to be on as well, another double change for Brighton. Meantime, Hinshelwood for the visitors. 3-1 down, and down to 10 men after Jean Pedro's straight red card. Jan-Paul van Hekke, centre of the Brentford half, plays into Carlos Baleba. He's back to play now, has to lay it back to the edge of the centre circle, and Lewis Dunk. Van Hekke drives the left-footed ball out, looking for Mitoma left-hand side. He's barely had a kick, the Japanese international, since he came on. Retrieved by Hinshelwood. And back to the halfway line, and Brighton will start again with Dunk. And Dunk can't play the ball forward. Sharda was closing off the space, so it's back to the goalkeeper. Still only one goal elsewhere in the Premier League this afternoon. We've hogged them all, it seems, here, apart from West Ham having the lead against Southampton through Jared Bowen. Still Palace 0, Bournemouth 0, Palace down to 10, and Everton 0, Manchester City 0 in one of the last few remaining Premier League games to be played at Goodison Park. Here is Karo Mitoma, now carrying the ball forward for Brighton, just goes through the gears, got through the challenge of Norgard, but couldn't ride the challenge of Ayer, and Brentford get it clear. 3-1 they lead, just over a quarter of an hour to go here on Talksport 2.
Yeah, it's good play from Ayer. You see that Mitoma was taken on Norgard 1v1, just skipped inside him quite easily, and then a really good sliding tackle from Ayer, just nicked it off of Mitoma's feet. Just looking at Brighton, Dance, to be fair to them, when they're in possession, they're keeping three up front. Obviously Solly March over wide on this right hand side, Mitoma wide on the left with Danny Welbeck up front, and Brentford has got to be a little bit careful because the game is done, Dance. You know, they're playing against 10 men, they've just got to see it out. But if they get sloppy and they let Brighton back into it and get a goal, then the momentum can change very quickly.
Well, here comes Rico Henry to come onto the field for Keane Lewis Potter. If circumstances had been different, I'd be almost certain that Rico Henry would have been part of England's Euros squad under Gareth Southgate, but injury cruelly robbed him of that opportunity. He's on us a straight swap for Keane Lewis Potter, and another straight swap, positionally speaking, as Matthias Jensen comes on for the Ukrainian Yarmolenko. So those are the two changes for Brentford. The two changes for Brighton, well, Carlos Baleba is making way for Yassin Ayari, and Danny Welbeck is coming off, and Diego Gomez comes on to replace him. So plenty of substitutions here at the G-Tech, but it is 3-1 to Brentford and just less than a quarter of an hour to play.
Yeah, you mentioned Rico Henry, Dance. I think that his goal now is obviously get himself back into his Brentford side. Lewis Potter's been really good actually in the left back position. He had a brilliant ball, didn't he, for Mbuemo's goal in the first half. Slide rule pass for a good 50-60 yards. But if he can get himself back fully fit for the start of the season, there's every chance that Rico Henry could be in the England World Cup squad, Dance.
That's the voice of Perry Groves, former Arsenal winger, alongside me here at the G-Tech Stadium. Violent conduct confirmed by the Premier League Match Centre for the decision of Tim Robinson to send off João Pedro just after the hour. Brighton make a bit of a hash of getting the ball clear from their own 18-yard box, but they still have possession. Good ball from Vifa in field, and it's carried forward by Yassin Ayari. First involvement for him since coming on as a sub. Gomez powering just to his right, but now it's gone out to the far right-hand side, the near side to us and Solly March. But as he comes in field, he drifts away from the Brentford penalty area. Vifa into Ayari, gives it back to Vifa once more. Diego Gomez holding this right-hand side. Gives it back to Van Hecker. Van Hecker slides it in for Henshawood. Almost broke for Gomez as he tried to run into the penalty area. Jensen turns away. Norgard fires it up to Sharda. Just evades Wissa in the centre circle. And here comes Yassin Ayari for Brighton. Finds Solly March on the right-hand side. Collects it level with the 18-yard line. Onto his left foot. Feints to cross. Now checks in field. Gomez lays it off to Vifa, but it wasn't the best layoff, and Vifa had to run back 5 yards to collect the ball. Brighton still have it though. Ayari just inside the area, shows too much of that to Rico Henry, and Henry goes down under pressure of the challenge from Ayari, gets a second bite of the cherry to get it clear and does so, and Damsgaard plays it through the legs of Vifa, but Henry couldn't get onto the loose ball.
Doesn't count. The nutmegs doesn't count on Vifa there from Damsgaard because Henry couldn't get it the other side of him. But Brentford have just gone a little bit passive. They've just sat back, obviously getting a little breather again into that 4-4-2 defensive shape.
Vifa with a lovely ball across to Mitoma, who turns it over the bar just near the right-hand corner of the box. Mats Vifa just played a diagonal ball across the face of goal, and Mitoma coming in at the far post on 6 yards just couldn't get the touch he wanted.
That's a brilliant ball in from Vifa from this right-hand side, that corridor of uncertainty in between the penalty spot and the 6-yard box. Mitoma coming in from that left-hand side. As it rolls across his body, he just can't quite get the right connection with his left foot. If he gets over the top of the ball with the instep, he can just side foot it past Flecken, but it gets underneath the ball, goes over the crossbar.
Currently Brentford 3, Brighton 1. For the latest odds, head to William Hill, the official betting partner of Talksport 2's Premier League coverage, where right now you can get Brentford to win at evens. No, Brentford to win 3-1 at evens. Sorry, that's the score we have now. Brentford to win 4-1 at 5-2. Or if you fancy Brighton to come back with 10 men and make it 3-3, well, that's priced at 40-1. It's all thanks to William Hill, 18 plus, begambleaware.org. Just over 10 minutes to go at the G-Tech. It is still Brentford 3, Brighton 1. Long ball over the top, asking Solly March to give chase, but that's good covering at the back from Sepp Vandenberg. Puts it out of play in the end for a Brighton throw. Won that race, the taller centre-half against the Brighton and Albion veteran.
Yeah, Solly March not known for his explosive running capabilities. Good play from Vandenberg.
Space for Hinshelwood, tries to play in the area. Mitoma does get one back for Brighton. Lovely little slide rule pass from Jack Hinshelwood. Mitoma, who just narrowly missed an opportunity moments ago, was played in by that pass from Hinshelwood, left-hand side of the area, and slotted it home neatly. And even though Brighton are down to 10 men, they've got hope here with 10 minutes to go. Mitoma with the goal, the substitute. It is Brentford 3, Brighton 2.
Brighton worked it really well from the throw and into Solly March on the edge of the 18-yard box with his left foot. Just rolls it into Hinshelwood just outside the D. Then can he pick the right passes? Again, it's a brilliantly weighted pass from Hinshelwood into the path of Mitoma, who's making that run from the centre out to that left-hand side with his left foot. Just cuts it back across Flecken, gives them absolutely no chance. Brighton back in this game at 2-3 down here at the G-Tech.
And we are into the last 10 minutes of normal time. And now Fabian Herzl are desperate to retrieve the ball, even though it's a Brentford throw. Right in front of the technical areas. Rico Henry throws it in, gets it back from Damsgaard. Henry tucks it infield to Jensen. Jensen looking for Damsgaard, but it was knocked out of play by Yassin Ayari. So sure, Fabian Herzl will be thinking he's fully justified in making the changes that he has at this point. And Brighton back within a goal of their hosts. Van Hecker just clears it long up to halfway. Collins just lobs it away from Mitoma. Finds Aya. And now in Burmo on the far right-hand side of the field. Infield for Norgard. Henry's in acres of space on this left-hand side, but it's back out on the Brentford right with Burmo into Damsgaard. And Burmo continued his run towards the area, but Damsgaard dispossessed. And Diego Gomez tries to slide it through for Brighton. Finds Solly March. March holding the ball up inside the Brentford half, looking for support. The support joining him from left and right. Hinshelwood finds Mitoma on the left wing, gives it back to the youngster in midfield for Brighton. Mitoma now knocks it back for Estupinian. March out to Mitoma, hugging the left-hand touchline. Estupinian protects the ball from Mbermo and works it back to halfway and Dunk. Now Mitoma driving down the left-hand side. We may not be done yet here in West London. Brighton, bit of ambition as they come forward. It's with Vifa at the edge of the area, as you know, it just couldn't latch onto the attempted pass from Gomez, but that's a hurry clearance from Brentford, and Brighton have it back.
Dance, at the moment, you think it was Brentford down to 10 men because Brighton are just dominating possession. Brentford have gone far too passive.
That's a poor ball from Mitoma, though. They're trying to release Sharda over the halfway line, but Lewis back on the cover, tidies up for Brighton. Vifa, who I think's had a very good game at right back this afternoon. He's been in really good positions quite often, and it's driven out to the left-hand side for Solly March. March trying to have a go at Aya down the left-hand side, hits it against Aya. Corner kick to Brighton. Brentford 3, Brighton 2. 7 to play, and Brighton have a corner in front of their own fans.
Yeah, good play from Solly March over on that left-hand side. Get onto his left foot. Then Aya comes out. He tries to get his cross in. Aya gets the block, goes out for a corner right in front of the Brighton fans, diagonally over the far side to our right-hand side. Solly March will take the corner with his left foot out swinging.
Vitali Yallo is ready to come on for Brentford. Whether he comes on before the corner's taken, appears it's being just held back for a moment. March with the corner for Brighton, and he took it too soon. There was a bit of pushing and shoving that the referee wanted to sort out just as March was about to strike the ball, so we'll get another go at it on the far side, and the referee wants to work with Vifa and with Jensen about what they were doing in the penalty area just as the ball was about to be struck.
I think Vifa dislodged Jensen's Alice band dance. I don't think he's very happy.
Manchester City lead at Everton by a 1-0 at Goodison Park. Here's the corner for Solly March. Left-footed outswinger from him into the near post. Comes out to the edge of the box. Gomez brings it down, drives it on the volley, and it deflects away, and Flecken has to push it behind for another corner to Brighton. 3-2.
Outswinging corner from Solly March. Brentford get the first contact, comes out to Gomez on the edge of the box, gets his right-footed volley away. Good closing down from the two Brentford defenders. Corner for Brighton on their right-hand side.
Nico O'Reilly got that Manchester City goal at Goodison Park. Ayari with a right-footed outswinging corner for Brighton. Deep to the far post. Van Hecker went up, heads it straight up in the air. Players go down inside the box. Dunk went down. He claims he was pushed. Fabian Hertzler and the Brighton coaching staff off their seats to complain. Brentford, meantime, get it down to the halfway line, but Brighton win it back. Here's Dunk, sliding it into the feet of Hinshelwood. Little flick pass to get Mitoma into the game. Down the left-hand side. Further down the left-hand side is Solly March. Van Hecker stayed upfield, but the corner's won again off Christopher Aya by Solly March. 3-2, corner, and they're going to look at incidents in the penalty area where Lewis Dunk felt he was being held by Henry.
It's just a wrestle. It's WWE. Obviously, Rico Henry. It's a mismatch physically. Lewis Dunk tries to get round the side of him. Anywhere else on the pitch, Dance, that is a foul because Rico Henry's got his hands round his waist. He tried, Dunk gets goal side, then he pulls him to the floor. Obviously, there's been a check, and they've decided that there's nothing to see. So Solly March will outswing the corner from Brighton's left-hand side of his left foot.
So then, corner kick in front of those Brighton fans once more. Solly March with another left-footed outswinger into the near post, headed away by the first defender, comes out to Mitoma. Well, he tried to improvise a shot with the outside of his right boot from the 18-yard line and got it all hopelessly wrong, and it's going to be a goal kick, and Vitaliano is not the only player who's going to be coming on. Looks like Yunus Konak's going to be on as well for Brentford. Kevin Sharda the first to be replaced, and he's had his injury problems. Kevin Sharda missed most of his first season at the club with a bad injury, but he's put a shift in this afternoon, and Yunus Konak's going to be on for him, and Vitaly Yalnok's coming on for Mikkel Damsgaard, who's the other player that's coming off. Yunus Konak, Turkish international, joined from Sivasspor in January, hasn't scored yet. This is his 10th appearance, Konak. He's a central midfielder. but he looks like he's going to play in what was Sharda's position, left-hand side of the front three.
Yeah, I just think Thomas Frank wants some fresh legs because Brighton have started to just put a little bit of pressure on. Brentford dropping a little bit too deep.
Henry plays the ball in field. He's only giving it straight to Ayari, but Brentford working really hard to win it back. Henry again trying to get involved, but it's given us a throw into Brighton, and down has gone a Brighton player claiming it was Diego Gomez, who claimed he caught something in the face from Rico Henry. Simon Adingra has been called for from the substitutes bench by Fabian Hertz, so that will be their last change. But time's running out here at the G-Tech Stadium. We've played 87 minutes. It is Brentford 3, Brighton 2.
It's just a flailing arm from Rico Henry. So there's grappling for the ball, and just as Gomez goes down to the floor, Rico Henry's just trying to protect himself, and it's just his left forearm that caught Gomez just across the jaw. Wasn't a violent movement, quite rightly. Tim Rom's referee just says no, play on.
As it stands, Brighton will stay on 48 points, and Brentford will go within 2 points of their visitors onto 46. 10th and 11th in the table as the table stands, Brighton and Brentford. But this will be another blow to Brighton's European hopes if they can make it. If they can't make it a win, and they will fall 6 without success, home and away in the Premier League.
I think with Brighton, Dance, we've seen here, they just concede too many goals. There's been no wins last 5 Premier League matches, and they've conceded 2+ goals in all 5 of those.
Well, Adingra is ready to come on, and the referee halts Brighton's attempted throw back in. 2-0 to Manchester City at Everton, so the points are safe for Pep Guardiola's side. Nico O'Reilly got the first, so Manchester City will go up into 4th, knocking Nottingham Forest down into 5th. It's FIFA that's gone off to allow Adingra to come on, who immediately takes the throw to get the ball back into play. Into the last minute of normal time. Brighton might be down to 10 men, but they're asking questions of Brentford, who are 3-2 up. Oh, and a sky clearance from Ayer into his own penalty area. He's bailed out by Vandenberg. Cleared downfield, but Van Hecker cushions a header down to try and get Brighton into the game. Again a header from Vandenberg as it was squirted clear. Estepinian goes down theatrically. No free kick, says the referee. And then Burmo sweeps the ball in field for Visser, who just couldn't control the ball the way he would have wanted. Brighton have enough players back, and it's cleared away to halfway. 3-2 Brentford.
Johan Visser needs to get the ball out of his feet. It's a brilliant ball from Mbuemo from that right-hand side. Visser just tries to take it with the outside of his right foot, and instead of taking it across his body, goes back inside. That gives Van Hecker the chance just to nick it off him.
You're listening to Brentford Brighton on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whether you're on holiday, at home or away this summer, Enterprise has locations all over Europe and a vehicle that's just right for you. 8 minutes of minimum stoppage time that we're into now. 8 minutes at the G-Tech Stadium, and you heard a few moans and groans at that award.
You could hear the groans of tension, Dance, because their team here at the G-Tech are 3-2 up, playing against 10 men, and Thomas Frank could sense this, Dance, when Brentford were 3-1 up. You know, when he was getting a little bit agitated, wasn't he, because Brentford kept giving the ball away, and now in Brighton get himself in possession, he could sense that was coming. And so Brighton have nothing to lose. They leave 3 up front. Mitoma's gone through the middle. Solimarch on the left-hand side, Adingra on this right-hand side. So it's whether in this 8 minutes if Brighton can fashion themselves a chance to see if they can get the equaliser.
Free kick from Brentford up to the edge of the area. Brighton get it half clear, but Mbuemo wins it back. Konak works it across to Jensen. Konak again in the centre of the Brighton half. Has to work it back to Henry on halfway, who plays it down the left-hand side, trying to get Jensen in behind, but the ball swirls into the path of Jan-Paul Van Hecker. Adingra loses out down the left-hand side to Janel. Sliding challenge from Van Hecker. Came off Janel, and it's given us a goal kick to Brighton. The Brentford fans away to our left wanted a corner, but that definitely came off Vitaly Janel last of all. So a Brighton goal kick, and Verbruggen obviously is going to get on with it.
Well, there's no plan out from the back now, is there? The centre half splitting, so it's basically get everybody into Brentford's half, launched up by Van Hecker, and see if they can win the knockdown, which they've not been able to.
Ball Rambling around on halfway. Hinshelwood lofts the ball downfield, asking Mitoma to give chase, and Flecken clears it high into the rafters, away to our right-hand side in this south stand. Got real good distance on that clearance, but what it means is it's going to be a throw into Brighton, taken by Adingra. Ayari lets the ball run across his body, gets it back from Estepinian. Hinshelwood tucking it out to this right-hand side where Adingra can keep it in play. Has to go back into his own half for Dunk. There's 4 forward across the line for Brighton. 5 now with Adingra joining in as the ball's rolled back to Verbruggen. Come on Brentford, shout the home fans, hoping that they can see it out. 2 minutes and the minimum 8 played on. Gomez darts into the air for Brighton, but across comes Vandenberg and puts it out of play for a throw. All hands to the pump for Brentford, and they've got a man advantage.
Yeah, it's really good defending from Vandenberg, just making sure that he's the last man. As the ball tries to come into Mitoma, just make sure that he gets across him.
March with a cross this time from the left-hand side. Headed away by Jensen, but not that far. Picked up by Adingra. Brentford 3, Brighton 2. Brighton with 10 men pushing forward with Adingra, sliding the ball into the area, but the deflection takes it away from Van Hecke, and Flecken kind of plays chicken with Van Hecke and says, come on then, and then picks it up just as Van Hecke gets within striking distance of him.
So Van Hecke is challenging his inner Harry Maguire, because obviously the big centre-half has gone into the centre-forward position.
That appears to be the way. And the goal kick will find Aya for Brentford. Oh, neatly steps away from Mitoma, or Gomez rather, on the halfway line. Tries to slide it down the Brentford right, but Estepinian won it back. Then he was dispossessed by Mbermo. And now free kick as Mbermo released the ball. Estepinian had a nibble at him. The referee's assistant on the far side gave the foul. Tim Robinson's awarded the free kick, and Estepinian's deep in conversation with that assistant and gets a yellow card for a bit of back chat there, Pervis Estepinian.
Yeah,
free kick Brentford.
I think he was just frustrated because he got caught in possession by Brian Mbuemo over by the touchline, and as Mbuemo just got his body across him, Estepinian, as Mbuemo tried to spin away from him, just pulled him back. Again, petulant foul.
Southampton equalise at West Ham. Ogachukwu has equalised. Leslie Ogachukwu makes it West Ham 1, Southampton 1. And that is now full time, so Southampton have equalled Derby's record low points total of 11. And Kovacic got the second goal for Manchester City. That's also full time. Palace have held out with 10 men against Bournemouth. 0-0, that's finished at Selhurst Park. Jensen with a free kick for Brentford. Header on the far post, it's in! They've made it count, Brentford, and increased their 2-goal cushion. Header on 6 yards. There's a pile of Brentford players in celebration. I'm just looking to see who got the final touch. And I think it was Christian Norgard, was it? Christian Norgard picking himself up under a pile of red and white shirts. Got his head to the ball 6 yards out. The delivery from Jensen was aching to be headed home, and that's exactly what Norgard did. And whilst they've been under pressure from Brighton, who are pushing for an equaliser, Brentford seal the points with a 4th in added time. Brentford 4, Brighton 2.
Brilliant header from Norgard, brilliant delivery from Jensen from that right hand side, just bending the ball with his right foot. Then Norgard just makes sure he gets away from his mark-up from 6 yards. This rises, can he redirect it, uses the pace of the cross, gets a good 4 on it, gives Verbruggen absolutely no chance in Brighton's goal. Game's done and dusted. Brentford go 4-2 up. This has been an unbelievably entertaining game here, Dance, at the G-Tech. We've picked the best game of the day.
Well, it was 4-2 last time I was here, in a very different sort of game against Newcastle United, where defending was very much at a premium on a dreadful day for weather. This, in bright sunshine, has been very entertaining. Oh, now Van Hecke trying to take a free kick early, and Nathan Collins went down as looked like Van Hecke kicked out of the ball and also caught the player. And now there's a melee of players all around the edge of the Brentford 18-yard line. Collins being helped to his feet. Brentford fans shouting off, off, off. Van Hecke moving his way as far away from the scene of the crime as possible. But Tim Robinson spotted him and beckoning him over. This may just end up being a yellow card. There's a yellow card for Collins for his part in that. And Van Hecke also going to get a yellow card. And at the upshot of that is Brighton will get a free kick 25 yards from goal.
Yeah, I think it's Tim Robson, referee, just saying, look, you've both been very silly boys. Van Hecke just falls to the floor and then he rolls over, he gets up, tries to take the free kick really quickly. Collins just dives in front of it to stop him taking the free kick. Just very petulant on both sides. Tim Robinson's got a really good look at it. So it's Collins nicking the ball away with his hand to stop the quick. I don't know why Collins is holding his head. That is the one thing that really annoys me, Dance, is that pretending you've been hit in the head, which he hasn't been. Tim Robinson, the referee, actually handles that situation really well. Just gives Collins and Van Hecke a yellow card each. I wish he'd have handled the other incident with João Pedro and Collins a little bit better from the angles that we've seen.
Brighton have a free kick 25 yards out to the left of centre. Matthias Jensen's the draft excluder behind the Brentford wall, just inside the box. Robinson just checking the yardage, and the wall is standing far too close. Jensen's got to crawl on his hands and knees to get back into the right spot to be the draft excluder. Ridiculous.
Well, I think he should have done the cheese roll. You know, when they chase the cheese down the hill. Yeah,
so that's this time of year, isn't it? The old Easter cheese rolling. I'm sure it is.
Probably on Monday.
Yeah, more than likely. So they reset the wall now that Tim Robinson's marked out the 10 yards. March is standing over the free kick. So too is Gomez. Bit of pushing and shoving just around the wall. Hinshelwood and Konak getting in a bit of a shoving match. We've played the 8 minutes of added time. Up comes Gomez, and the free kick is fired well over the crossbar, much to the delight of the home fans. Stays 4-2 to Brentford, and it's a matter of seconds here on Talksport 2.
Yeah, that is high, wide and handsome from Gomez. Doesn't trouble Flecken in Brentford's goal. He'll just take his time to take this goal kick. It might probably be the last action of the game.
It is down to Tim Robinson as to how much more we add on, although there was that delay for the 2 yellow cards to Collins and Van Hecke. Goal kick driven downfield by Flecken, and Burmo still on a hat-trick, let's not forget, down the right-hand side, but he can't get away from the attentions of his marker, and it goes out of play for a throw to Brentford just over halfway, to be taken by Christopher Ayer. Referee says we're still playing, get it back in to play please, I'm not done yet. Ayer looking for an option down that far touchline, and Burmo's there, Jensen just in field. Wisser now picks it up, and that will break for Jensen. Jensen with the ball with the outside of his boot, looking down the left-hand side of the box for Janel. Pulls it back from the dead ball line, and Burmo on the volley. This blocked behind by Dunk for a late corner for Brentford, and Burmo was looking for his hat-trick right at the end of the game.
Yeah, great ball for Jensen on the outside of his right foot, just releasing Janel down the left-hand side, gets to the byline, just dinks it up to the far post, and Burmo thinks he's going to get his hat-trick with his left foot volley. Good block by Lewis Dunk. Corner for Brentford over out there, right-hand side.
Burmo's going to take it. Jensen moves away, so a left-footed in-swinger from Burmo, which will probably be the last action of this game. We tick round past 100 minutes at the G-Tech. There'll be a left-footed in-swinger from Burmo. Again, you've got players at the far post looking for the delivery. One of them is Sepp Vandenberg, and he heads it wide of the post, and it'll end up being a Brighton goal kick. And Verbruggen is going to send it downfield very quickly to see whether Brighton can do anything about this scoreline. All eyes on the referee, not blowing his whistle yet. Flicked on by Van Hecke, and that's a bad clash of heads. And there's going to be attention required for 2 players because Van Hecke collided with a Brentford player. I think it was it Konak he collided with? Certainly he's gone down, the Brentford player, and there was a clash of heads as Verbruggen smacked that ball downfield. And both require treatment, and we still wait for the final whistle to be blown. 4-2 to Brentford.
Yeah, he said it looked quite a nasty clash of heads there. Both players are prone on the floor. Thomas Frank, the Brentford manager, looks very, very concerned. It's looking like Van Hecke hasn't moved at all, Dance, has he? He's just completely still. So the Brighton medical staff are seeing to him. I'm just wondering if he might be concussed.
Well, there could be that. I mean, Konak's still down as well. It is definitely the young substitute who's out there. Solly March and Kauro Matoma standing over Van Hecke, looking concerned as well. And they are readying the stretcher, the St John's ambulance staff, right below us at pitch side level for one or either of these players if this situation is serious. And all has gone silent around the GTEC Stadium as everyone checks on the condition of Jan-Paul van Hekke and Younes Konak as they both receive treatment. Neither, as Perry's already said, have moved very much at all. And there is a doctor out there in the centre of the pitch just keeping an eye on what the physios are doing to treat these players, because they went down in quite a heap, having clashed right in front of our commentary position from Verbruggen's clearance downfield. And Verbruggen's come to check on the welfare of his teammate Van Hekke as treatment continues to be administered. So we're still waiting for... Well, actually, Konak is now sitting up. That's an encouraging sign that Konak is at least sitting up as he continues to receive treatment. And now Van Hekke is sitting up too. So that's good news that they're both at least able to contemplate what's going on around them. But then this is where the concussion protocols come into play. And I saw it yesterday at Derby when Nathaniel Mendes-Lang caught a stray arm underneath his eye. You could see it went up like an egg almost immediately, and he had to go off. The concussion protocols meant that Derby had to make an early change, and it may well be the case here, although I'm not sure whether Brighton have got any substitutions left. And Van Hekke is now lying back down again, maybe a bit of a delayed reaction, and he's lying back down again, flat on his back to receive more treatment, having been sat up for about a minute before that.
Yeah, just looking at Van Hekke dance, and
well, the doctor's calling for the stretcher for Van Hekke. He looks in a slightly worse way than Konak, who is sitting up and has been sitting up for a couple of minutes now. He's still receiving treatment, the Brentford substitute, but with regard to Van Hekke, very different. He is now flat on his back. He's now stretched his legs out in full, and he's going to be put on a stretcher.
And I think what they do is, well, Dancer put the neck brace on him, because I think he was unconscious because he didn't move at all. You know, when the player's seriously injured, when there's no movement. You said there with Konak's just been risen to his feet. Obviously they've gone through the concussion protocols with Konak, and the two Brentford physios are still with him. And Konak looks like he's going to be okay. You said there with Van Hekke, he sort of sat up, didn't he, with the medical staff from Brighton, and then he looked very, very ashen, very pale, and then just went straight back down again, just lying flat out on the floor.
So they bring out an inner stretcher. It's like a two-parter, these stretchers that they use at Premier League stadia. It's a smaller stretcher that they can push underneath the player, and then they put two sides together as they slide it under the player, and then they can lift that player onto the larger orange stretcher that it then fits inside. They're giving him oxygen as well out there. The doctor was straight out there to make sure that all was well, and that was almost, I think, the last kick of the game here, because we played, as I mentioned, 100 minutes. 10 have been played past the 19. Originally 8 were added on, and they're now sliding the two halves of the inner stretcher underneath the body of Jan-Paul van Hekke. They're taking great care. There's a good 6 or 7 medical staff there making sure that he's completely safe. He's taking on oxygen, and he will make sure that they've got everything in place before they very slowly and carefully lift him into the larger stretcher before taking him down the tunnel, just down to our left-hand side. Konak is back on his feet and is okay, and they are going to make a change here. They're going to bring on Gustavo Nunez for Konak, so the substitute has, as you might expect, been substituted, but it's all academic because the stoppage time is nearly up. But our attention is still firmly fixed on Jan-Paul van Hekke, as he is now in a neck brace on the inner stretcher. Still a good half a dozen medical staff around him making sure that he's been given the very best possible care, and now they've moved the larger stretcher next to where he's lying down, and the next stage will be to move him onto that and then either get him to the medical facilities here at the GTEC, or if that is inadequate, then they'll take him to the nearest hospital for further treatment. and all the other outfield players are just standing around hoping that everything is okay for Jan-Paul van Hekke, the 24-year-old centre-half, and the Dutchman who made his debut back in September for his country.
Well, the good news, Dance, is obviously he's regained consciousness. So we've got all of the medical staff around him with the independent dots as well, the Brighton medical staff, just getting the stretcher in place. So he said they can lift him up from the 2 planks that they put underneath him initially. So there'll be 8 of the medical staff who will just lift him tentatively up and place him into the stretcher so they can gently walk him off the pitch.
It's a very sombre ending to this Premier League encounter as we watch on. They really are making absolutely certain that they've got everything in position, that there's going to be no discomfort beyond what Van Hekke's already experiencing when they move him into the larger stretcher to take him off the field. Oxygen is still there and still being proffered to Van Hekke by the Brentford club doctor, who's out there assisting the St John's ambulance crews, and there's other medical staff out there as well, and it's a very distressing scene with that many people in and around Van Hekke, clearly concerned and hoping that he keeps consciousness. And we are now in a position where they will be able to lift Van Hekke very slowly and carefully and place him in the larger stretcher, which is just next door. They get the signal. The larger stretcher is slid underneath. Gradually they lower him down, and that was all very neatly done. And Mark Flecken leads the applause so that everyone knows that everything's going to be okay as far as he's concerned. And Van Hekke is now being led off the pitch, and Aaron Cashin is going to be brought on to replace him as a concussion substitute. And we wish Jan-Paul Van Hekke well. He's strapped up, he's in a neck brace, and we sincerely hope that that is not as serious as it looks. And Cashin is on as his replacement, but there's very little time to play. It's going to be given as a Brighton free kick for what happened there. Both players involved in that clash of heads then have gone off, but one more seriously injured than the other, and it will be Solly March to take the free kick for Brighton. Get some words from his manager. Strikes it downfield to the left-hand corner of the penalty area. Dunk goes up, wins the header, cleared away by Norgard. Estepinian brings it down at the edge of the centre circle. Gomez tries to cushion a header down for Hinshelwood, but it's cleared away by Nathan Collins. Straight onto the head of Dunk, and he can head it back towards the halfway line. Drops in the centre circle, and we still play on Talksport 2, and it's worked back from Estepinian to the right-hand side of defence, and Cashin, their January signing from Derby County, plays a long ball downfield, headed away by Vandenberg. Brentford 4, Brighton 2 it remains. 110 minutes are on the watch right now. Adingra with a right wing cross for Brighton, and headed behind for a corner kick by Ayer, but there'll be no time to take it. The referee has blown the full-time whistle, and Brentford have their first win in 9 at the GTEC Stadium, and they romped in the end to a 4-2 victory against Brighton, who are now 6 without a win, and their European hopes are starting to fade. Brentford are still a couple of points behind Brighton in the table, but that's a real fillip for their home form. Brian Mbeumo scored twice, didn't get the hat-trick that his performance maybe deserved. He scored the first on 9 minutes. It was then 1-1 just before half-time when Danny Welbeck effected a fantastic header falling away from goal to make it 1-1. But quickly in the second half, Mbeumo made it 2-1. Johan Visser got his goal to make it 3-1 just before the hour. And then not long after that, João Pedro was given a straight red card for a challenge off the ball on Nathan Collins. Kaara Mitoma reduced the arrears to 3-2 with a goal on 81 minutes, having come on as a substitute. But Christian Norgard headed Brentford's fourth in added time. We then had that clash of heads that saw Jan-Paul van Hecke cleared off. So it's a slightly sombre end here at the G-Tech Stadium. Even though they're playing the Beatles music, lots of people thinking about the welfare of the Brighton centre half. But the 3 points stay in West London with the Bees of Brentford. Final score at the G-Tech, Brentford 4, Brighton have Albion 2.
Yeah, the Brighton players have gone over to the far corner to clap their fans, and everybody across the grounds, and obviously everybody here at Talksport and Talksport 2 wishing Jan-Paul van Hecke the very best as he continues treatment, and we'll of course bring you the latest on his condition when we get it. All we can do really is analyse the rest of the game, Perry, and it did feel as if Brighton had got themselves back into it at one point, despite going down to 10 men. That Kuruma Toma's goal made it a nervy end for Brentford, but they showed their class ultimately and their one-man advantage and got the job done.
Yeah, very much so. You said, Faye, looked like the game was done and dusted at 3-1 for Brentford, and Wermo putting them 2-1 up. Just that little link up again with Damsgaard to Visser, and then to Wermo with his little left foot curler that got a deflection off of Van Hecke to put Brentford 2-1 up. Then they go 3-1 up. Again, it's a brilliant ball from Damsgaard to Wermo, and Wermo's cross. Visser comes in, again another little deflection, gives Brooker no chance. You think the game's done and dusted at 3-1. And I actually think that Thomas Frank, the Brentford manager, he could sense that Brentford have just eased off it a little bit too much, because Brighton got down to 10 men. I actually think it looked a bit harsh, Faye, from all of the angles that we had with João Pedro, with Nathan Collins. The first one looked like they came together when the ball came into João Pedro. He got a bit frustrated. Collins tried to get in front of him. He flicked with his sort of right foot, and then there's like a flailing arm. It doesn't look like the angles that we've seen that there's an elbow.
It doesn't look like force, but it was violent conduct. So I can see why it wasn't overturned. That's for sure. And actually, there were quite a few incidents. Quite a niggly game, really.
Yeah, I think
for the large part.
If Tim Robinson, referee, on that comes together João Pedro, if they'd have given both of them a yellow card, I don't think anybody would have thought any different.
No.
So, and then João Pedro obviously gets sent off. Then it's like Brighton with their backs to the wall. But as you said there, because Brentford then went a little bit past, they thought the game's done and dusted. They went back into their shell, into that 4-4-2 deep block when they're 3-1 up. Well, they should be like controlling possession, because obviously the opposition are down to 10 men. Brighton left 3 up, took a chance. Matoma obviously went through the middle, and in the end they got themselves back into it. Great little link-up play with Solly March into Hinchwood. Lovely little pass from Hinchwood into the path of Matoma. He just cuts it back off Beckham with his left foot. Then there's nervousness in the G-Tech, because the home fans are like, oh, we thought this was going to be easy. They were giving the Olays, and then they went very quiet. And you think, right, can Brighton get himself a chance? But then a brilliant free kick from the right-hand side from Jensen. Norgard's unmarked in the 6-yard box. It's a brilliant header, gives Brooklyn absolutely no chance. Then the game is done and dusted. But as you said there, Faye, it ended very sombre, wasn't it, at the end, because of the clash of heads. And we just hope that Jan-Paul van Hecke, thankfully he was conscious when he came off the pitch. He was still receiving a bit of oxygen. Quite rightly, all the medical staff came on and took their time, just made sure, because it looked like he was unconscious for a little period of time, because he was just lying prone and didn't move. So obviously our thoughts and best wishes go to Jan-Paul van Hecke. And the game ended so very, very quietly, understandably. But in the end, it was a real good win for Brentford. First win here in the G-Tech in 9 games.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big win for Brentford, that's for sure. They go above Crystal Palace, who drew 0-0 with Bournemouth, so they move up to 11th, 2 points behind Brighton. And actually, you know, the Brentford players have been celebrating with their fans. This is something we haven't seen at the G-Tech for quite a while, as you say. You can go back as far as December the 7th since they won at home, which is incredible, really, considering where they are in the league. But the players are happy, and the fans go home happy for the first time in a long time. 18 goals as well for the season for Brian Mbuemo, level with Chris Wood. Only Haaland, Isak and Salah have scored more goals, by the way. And I wonder, Perry, whether or not he might get our man of the match with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
Man of the match on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whether you're on holiday, at home or away this summer, Enterprise has locations all over Europe and a vehicle that's just right for you.
Well, I've stuffed it up completely if that's how I've teed it up and you've given it to someone else. But who are you giving it to?
Well, I'm just looking at the Brentford side. Obviously, it's going to be a player from the home team. They've won this game 4-2. I thought Damsgaard was very good for a period in the second half where he got himself on the ball, and the ball he put through for Mbuemo for Brentford's third goal, and it comes out to Mbuemo, he crosses it for Visser, and Visser puts the game sort of safe, was outstanding. But obviously Mbuemo's got his 2 goals and he's got an assist, so the link up with Visser, we said before the game, was obviously carried on in this game here. So you can't give it to anybody else apart from Brian Mbuemo, because 2 goals, 1 assist, his general play was good, his set piece delivery was really good. And the thing I like about him, Faye, is that he's always positive. He's always on the front foot. He's always looking to go 1v1 with a fullback. He's always looking to get his crosses in. So it's actually, you've teed it up very, very nicely. A no-brainer. The man of the match is Brian Mbuemo.
Yeah, well deserved. I think that was our man of the match from today's game with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.